So, on to Street Talk then. And I think we have to start off with the goings-on with Max and Lauren and all the follow-up, because we were left gagging last week to find out what on earth is going to happen next in this story. And it actually took quite a few twists and turns that I wasn't necessarily expecting. I've had not much time for storyline inspiration titling this week. Lauren Justice. It sounds like Lauren Justice, which is a thing. Could have called it Lauren Order. I don't know. Lauren Justice is what I'm calling it this week. Blank stares from Gemma. Listeners too as well. Move on. We've got the Swarla, their pride story. That is back in full force. Things have moved forward this week for Swarla, and we are here after the Lauren story to chat about those developments. Now, I quite like this next one because Matty and Logan been going around giving people a load of warnings this week. It's like, you watch it, otherwise we'll duff you up. You come and tell Mason to get over it, otherwise, you skank, we're gonna rough you up.
Yeah.
Or to beat your mind. Yeah. You do this, or else.
Right.
They haven't actually really done anything. There's just been lots of warnings. So I'm calling this story the Warner Brothers. yes, I got a chuckle. Slight chuckle for Joe.
If they actually follow through, you can call them the Duffer Brothers.
Yeah, if they do duff people up, yeah, you're right. Up next, Dee-Dee. Oh, that's not too bad, that one. It just sounds silly. I called the Dee-Dee. I called the short on Monday, Dee-Dee up the duff-duff, which is maybe a bit of an EastEnders crossover, because she certainly had a bit of a duff-duff moment.
Doof, wouldn't it? We know the difference.
What, the difference between a doof-doof and a duff-duff?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Well, duff-duff's when you get pregnant, and a doof-doof is when something dramatic happens.
And then
south of.
And if Mason and Logan Matty and Logan come over, you get duffed up. So
You might do.
Dee-Dee is next. Right, I tried these Ken and Cassie storyline titles out on Gemma earlier, and she wasn't impressed with either of them either.
No, I'm not impressed.
What I'm left with at the moment is Poison Ken Letter.
I see. You're saying Poison Ken, let her.
Yes.
But
I don't know why it's letter.
Poison Ken letter.
It sounds like Poison Pen letter, but it's Poison Ken letter. And it seems that Tracy and Steve Steve now I suppose, is letting Cassie Poison Ken because he's invited her back into the house. I didn't say that these were gold this week, alright, everybody.
We do this.
But I am still very pleased with the Toya Nixley-Hans boyfriend storyline title, which has been running for an awful long time.
It's very reminiscent of one of my favourites, which of course is Luke and the Maria.
Luke and the Maria, yeah. Anyway, I don't think there's many podcasts that take a good 2 minutes and just announcing which stories they're going to be talking about and explaining puns. But sometimes
I think
my
it'd be
puns
fantastic.
just
if you worked on a tabloid, you'd have asterisks all over the headline, just so you know this is why this is bad.
Yeah, just imagine.
You might be
I'd be doing the front page of the tabloids and there'd be these little footnotes underneath saying what I mean by this headline.
Yeah, and the editorial meeting would just be people going, just let him do it. Just let him do it.
If Terry Pratchett was a headline writer, that's what he would do, because he's full of asterisks in his books, isn't he? Little footnotes. They're great. I'm just on the same level as the great Pratchett.
You can't do them.
Unfortunately,
in a podcast.
I'm just a great Pratt. So, do you want to do the Lauren story, or would you like to swallow your pride and do the
I don't mind
action?
At all. Whatever.
I'm gonna do Lauren and Max then, but I'm worried that you might. Gemma, you're a bit knackered as well this week, aren't you? If people can't tell already, but I'm gonna keep prodding you and asking you things, so you need to stay awake for this, okay? So we left last week with. No, actually, Max confessed at the end of last week, didn't he? He's taken the rap for Lauren clonking Joel on the head with a brick, and we see in the beginning of Monday's episode him in his prison cell.
She's got this letter, hasn't she?
Yes, the confession letter from Max. I did not expect things to move forward quite as fast as they did. They moved at quite a lick this week, didn't they? They were in and out of prison faster than... I should have prepared myself for that one. But yeah, Max is in prison, Lauren's in prison, Max is out. Who knows what next week?
I think they should get Frankie in there.
Get what? He's got his hearing on Monday, isn't he? Maybe he will be.
What, the baby?
Yes, he's going to be in the mother and baby unit.
Frankie's having his hearing. I love that. It's like, look, this kid's a wrong'un. We know. Just see what he's done.
He's a Bolton. He's a wrong un.
Maybe he is a baby.
Yeah.
But is he one of these white supremacist babies we're always hearing about?
See, with Max in prison on Monday, we were kind of seeing people online speculating, "Ooh, who's he going to bump into? Is he gonna be there when Clayton gets back out of hospital? Oh, is he gonna bump into Lauren's dad, Reese? I don't think Griff's still in there. I think he might get moved on after the whole taking Roy hostage incident.
Debacle.
But there's a growing numbers of ex-Corrie characters behind those bars at the moment, and any one of them Max might have had a bit of a run-in with, and we see him getting kind of menaced
by extras.
by his fellow con extras.
Tell you what, in
But
real
he wasn't in there
life,
for long, so he was all right.
it would actually be really scary to be menaced by extras.
Why?
Well, because you'd be like, "What do you want? Leave me alone." They'll just be staring at you like, "I legally cannot speak."
I'd be like, are you
agent,
just disposable? Are you going to kill me but then get sent to prison and nobody will notice?
That I could do anything and you don't know why.
Well, anyway, Max is in prison. He's in big boy prison this week because he went to the... What was it called that he went to before?
Naughty Boys Instruction Club.
Yeah, they were Daniel teaching him English, but he's in the proper thing this week, but he's not in there for long. Lily, back at home, is telling David that she's heard Shona having a bit of a cry earlier on. And David says, right, get upstairs so I can see what's up with her.
That's because Clayton's been taken into hospital, isn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. He was taken into hospital last week after he tried to take his own life in a fit of remorse over everything that he's done, and nobody wants to accept it. So she's had a call about Clayton, Shona has, but he's made an improvement. So I don't know what she's crying about, really. I can't remember. I think it's because Clayton doesn't want to see her. I can't remember whether we started the week knowing that or whether we found it out later on. But she's, I suppose she's got every reason to be upset because she's worried about her son. However, whether he's better or not.
I know it's hard, and you're supporting Max, and we love each other, and they hug each other.
Yeah.
And then David gets a phone call from Max.
David gets a phone call from Max later.
Max is being menaced.
David's like, what's going on? What you did? This is clearly Lauren. She's a mega wrong un. You're a beautiful, innocent child who never does anything. Forget about the racist group.
Yeah,
she was in it
fine.
as well. You didn't kill that Joel, did you?
No.
It was that skank Lauren.
Yeah.
And Max is like, no, I did it. It was self-defense, honest dad. Well, not real dad, David.
He says, Dad, David, look, I don't know if you were in big boy prison, weren't you? These other prisoners, they don't talk, they just stare at me while I'm on the phone. Is that normal?
Can you tell me where the stylist is in there? Because I've been having a wander around the corridors and I can't seem to find it.
Where's hair and makeup?
David's like, look, you didn't do it. Stop messing around. Tell them what happened. And Max is like, I can't talk to you any longer because there's some roughy-tufty lads that are eyeing me up, and I think they need the phone.
I don't know why they need the phone, Dad, because they don't say anything. They can't speak.
Yeah, they're non-speaking extras. Why do they need the phone?
They're just billying me.
I don't really get what... were they just asserting their dominance, or had they heard about Max and his racist history, and they're actually very, very anti that kind of thing in prison? I hate to say it,
but quite a few of them would probably really like it, and some of them wouldn't.
Well, some of them you'd have thought might be Griff's mates as well, but I don't know.
Might be what?
Griff's mates.
Oh, I thought you said Chris mates, like Chris mates are like Christmas people that
No.
are white supremacists.
Not crisp mates as well. People who share their bag of ready salted.
Oh my God! Don't get some certain people started on the price of Pringles. I'll tell you that for nothing.
Oh, I know. Right. Anyway, Lauren, meanwhile, she's still walking free as if she didn't clobber someone around the head with a brick, and she brings Frankie into the cafe to see to see Roy, who coos all over him, and Lauren introduces him to Helen, the foster carer. Remember, her name's Helen, everybody, because I forget later on in the week, and in my notes she's just referred to as the foster lady. So Helen is the lady. Did you like Helen? Has she been in it before this week? She seemed like she had her head screwed on the right way. She's no Wendy Papadopoulos, but
Wendy's got a full roster.
I'd entrust my ne'er-do-well murderous skank with her.
Imagine being a foster person on Coronation Street. Like, half the time you're going to get murdered or molested, aren't you?
No, that's if you're Frank Foster.
No, being
and
a
he
foster
does the
parent,
molesting.
like Rita, she got bonked on the head. She's had people trying to steal her money. She's got a brain tumour.
Imran got driven into a wall. Toya got driven insane.
Yeah. Who else have we had? Loads of people.
I can't remember. The Windasses, Anna and Eddie did a bit of fostering at
Look
one
at
point,
them now.
didn't they? Yeah. Oh, they're doing all right,
Look
actually.
at Wendy, she's gone. Disappeared forever.
Anyway, look, Lauren's feeling pretty chuffed with herself, as would I be if I got away with murder and somebody had taken the rap for me. But anyway, she gets a phone call and her bliss is shattered because she has to go to the station because they're not quite done with her yet. Meanwhile, back at number 8, Shona and David, I think they went to a house viewing or something, they said. That,
yes.
But it was a waste of time because it was cancelled and they didn't find out before they get there. Anyway.
Well, they're like, you're not moving there, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Aren't you going to stay where you are because you're the Platts and this is the Platt house?
This is the Platt house indefinitely. You're not really thinking of moving, are you?
We're just wasting our time.
So this, no, that's all right. This is the woman who cancelled it, sent Shona an appointment and she didn't get the email. Yeah, exactly. And Shona's like, oh, maybe it's gone into junk. And us at home are going, no, don't look at the junk folder. Well, actually do, because David deserves to be taken to task for all the manipulative behaviour he's been doing this week, hasn't he? This was just the tip of the iceberg. He's an utter git to Shona this week, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, I know he's saying, oh, Clayton's wrong because he tried to stab you and everything, but really the emotional manipulation is just as bad, isn't it?
Well, what
a betrayal.
We all knew that Clayton was a bad guy when he did that. David should be the person who's supporting Shona this week.
David is emotionally stunted from being raised by
It's all Hillman's fault, isn't it? He got driven into a canal. But yeah, seriously, we got to see a side of David this week that we haven't quite seen the same as for like 20 years.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Maybe
anyway.
Yeah. She goes to the laptop, finds the junk email, and oh, what a surprise! She finds the prison email there as well.
Why is that in the junk folder?
Yeah, and he's like at first, oh, it must have just gone in there automatically. And don't worry about it, it's fine. And she's like, I could have missed seeing my son here. He still is being very, very uncompassionate about everything related to Clayton. I'm gonna say, I still think inside he's got every right to be feeling this about the guy who murdered his wife, but
I find
he should be taking Shona's feelings into account a little bit more than he is.
It is refreshing though to see someone not care.
Well, this is why I think this story is quite good for David, because he will just
it's completely in his character
do whatever it is
to like not care at all about anybody but himself.
But so David gets Nick around later on for some reassurance that he's done the right thing with all this email deletion. And Nick says, look, people's lives are at stake here. You are playing a very serious game, mister. Women, Gemma, you can confirm this for me, as you are one. Women are like sniffer dogs. They always get to the truth and always get back to bite you.
Yeah, I'll bite you.
Gemma does get to the truth.
Yeah, and I am a bitch.
Is that what it takes?
Women are like sniffer dogs. If a woman is a dog.
Okay.
But this is prophetic, isn't it?
Mm?
Do you not think that here Nick is damning himself?
Yeah, that's a good point,
because
actually.
He's sneaking around with Toya.
Leanne hasn't quite picked up on the scent yet.
That Leanne's going to... I mean, we know Leanne's going to find out.
Clearly.
And it's probably now going to be at Ollie's memorial, isn't it?
I mean...
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
That would be a good time for this to come out. But I don't know. So Lauren, back in the police station, she's being very defiant in the interview with Kit later. She's like, nope, I was asleep on the sofa at number 8 all night. Very lovely. Max's self-defense story, yep, sounds all right to me. And Kit says, no. You had more of a motive than anyone to stave Joel's head in. I think you did it. I mean, excuse me, I'm almost better. Do you think that Kit really had anything to go on here?
No, I don't know where he's getting this from. I mean, what? No, I do actually. It's to do with the angle, isn't it, of the
yeah, I guess so.
So he's like, it can't have happened the way that Max said it did, and Max's motivation is linked to Lauren's relationship with Joel. If Lauren wasn't around, then he'd have no reason at all to attack Joel in the first place. So I'm gonna keep questioning Lauren to see if I can break her.
He's sharp as that Kit. I still don't know I think it's looking like he didn't actually do anything at all nefarious on the night of Joel's murder, except menace him a bit on the street.
I know, but you can't do that.
Well, I know you can't do that really, but we started last week's podcast going on the most massive of rants about this Joel in a body bag. And we mentioned it a little bit on the bonus podcast we did this week. But for those who have missed out on the delights of listening to that, my current stance in the whole "is there more to come" in the Joel mystery is...
No.
Not really, no.
No, we've got to let it go. And you know...
The topic really blew up on social media over the weekend, didn't it?
And I'm glad in a way, because it proves it wasn't just us.
I think I know, I'm the same. Like, if we've been the only people saying he was in a body bag, look, he was clearly in a body bag, and everyone's like, well, what are you talking about? No, he wasn't.
No, I wouldn't want to have been the only ones saying it.
All over, people were saying, hang on a minute, he was wrapped up in plastic, or he was in a body bag. And my current stance is, having given a thorough examination of the evidence and weighed up, you know, both sides of the argument, is that it was just a bad prop. And that's a shame.
If I never hear about this again in my life, I'll be okay.
I just wonder whether this is going to be one of these things that goes down in Corrie notoriety, like Kevin forgetting his dead son.
Yeah, this is just going to be a meme forever.
It was, yeah. I get it, because like when you saw him washing up in the river, there was a rock that looked like a head.
Yeah, but that wasn't what...
No, I know. But I think we saw that. We didn't... No, this is important. We saw the rock, and it was just a fleeting glance, and at the time I was like, well, that's his head. Having rewatched it many times, I was like, okay, it's a rock. But because... The notion of everything else that I thought of when I thought that the whole body was wrapped up in plastic still stood, I was like, well, no, that's a rock, but he's still wrapped up in plastic from the rest of it. But it just doesn't look good, does it? The jacket that he's wearing, if that's all it is, doesn't seem to match the jacket that he was wearing when he went over. You can't see much of a trace of neck or arm, although some people claim otherwise. The fact that so many people thought he was wrapped up in something when he wasn't, it looks like, clearly means that they've made a mistake somewhere. And it's not they forgot that they had him wrapped in plastic, it was just the prop wasn't good enough. They messed up. Yeah?
Yeah.
Gemma don't want to talk about this.
I'm completely over this. I've spoken about it so much, I'm out the other side of it now.
Yeah.
I just think it's a big shame, and I feel bad. I feel bad for the whole situation.
I really, really feel bad for it. And Corrie's not said anything about it either. I saw somebody posting, maybe it was on Reddit, that they put a comment on one of one of Coronation Street's YouTube videos saying, hang on a minute, wasn't he in a body bag? And apparently the comment got deleted.
What did it say?
Well, no, that was literally it. Somebody commented on the body bag in a video, and the comment got deleted. So I think Corrie doesn't want people talking. Sorry, Corrie, you can't shut us up. But yeah,
you can't shut me up.
No body bag. Lauren killed him. Kit's a saint. He's done nothing wrong. Just looked very, very dodgy.
Well, he stole Nathan's...
Maybe that's what they want us to think.
Stole Nathan's papers, and he lied about...
He lied about whether he was on Noble Street that night. But even if he'd said he was, he probably...
That's the only outstanding problem with the whole story now is well, not problem, unresolved element, because, Ronnie said, oh, that bloke I hired killed Joel.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing we were wondering about. Who was Ronnie talking to? And we had some people saying, well, clearly he was just talking to Ed then. He wasn't, otherwise they'd have shown it was Ed. And it turns out that it wasn't. It was his mate who said... Nah.
It wasn't Ed, because Ed would have reacted in a different way in another scene. I forgot which one it was.
It was clearly
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
You were the one that brought Ronnie up.
No, I know, but the whole thing.
It's just a shame. It's just a bit of a shame. I still enjoyed last week.
The more you go on about it, the more sad it is.
Okay. Let's move on. That's
I think they all did a great job. I'm just going to pretend that the whole thing, that bit didn't happen.
I still enjoyed the episode.
Because I think everyone did a really great job. and they should be proud
I
of
think
it.
I think it was on the whole really well done, and it made me sad seeing a lot of comments over the weekend saying, that was the worst episode of Coronation Street ever. That's not what Coronation Street is.
Well, I can see why people definitely who say, "Oh, it's not like Corrie, it's not like Corrie."
Oh, but they're totally
they have
entitled
a
to
point,
yeah.
Because that's why it stood out to me, and I think Coronation Street and soaps in general are having to do more things like this, where they're stepping out of the box a bit and they're making people not take the show for granted as much, and shocking people and making people talk, because we're missing these big water cooler moments now. Nobody watches television at the same time. They've ensured, Coronation Street has ensured that nobody watches Coronation Street together anymore, unless we're forced to, because they don't show it until a certain time of the day, like they did with the Joel thing, which we forgot to mention last time, but at least they put that on at 8 o'clock for everybody. And so they're going to have to generate buzz somehow.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, they made it a little bit different. To me, that doesn't mean it's not Corrie. It just means they're doing something a bit different. And I don't mind it sometimes.
It's a different way of telling a story. I think the content of the story is not necessarily anything Coronation Street has not done before. But, the method of storytelling is different, which is what people didn't like.
Yeah, and I've grown to like it more. I mean, this week's... I think it's maybe partly to do with, at the moment, sometimes, when the drama's just what's going on the street, if the characters that are in it that week are not ones that I'm particularly fussed by, then maybe I'd rather they did something completely off the wall and crazy and different, just to make me interested in that way, you know what I mean? So, I still think highly of last week's Coronation Street, even if I know not everybody else
Tell
did.
you what, the rate they're going with bloody Wicked and their PR, press, marketing nonsense, I'm surprised they haven't done a crossover with them. But, I mean, Ariana Grande's got big links to Manchester. She could come and do a performance in the Rovers.
She could, yeah.
Pub karaoke. She loves karaoke as well.
Right, anyway,
Imagine
sorry.
how thrilled Jenny would be to have her in.
Back to...
Daisy would love it.
Jenny probably didn't even know who she is. Daisy would,
yeah.
Back to what's been going on in Coronation Street. Shona's back later to the house after having a bit of a fume, and David tries to blame the email mix-up on her brain injury. This is where he completely loses all kind of sympathy with me, and he's like, "What are you doing, David?" He's like, "Well, you have got you're a bit brain damaged, aren't you? That's probably why you forgot the email, isn't it?" And Shona's like, "Oh, you really? You think I put the email into junk?" And David's like, "Well, yeah, you're always forgetting things, and that's what David's voice. He's like, "Now we're aware of it, we'll be able to work with the issue." Sorry, that's a terrible impression.
He's like, "Look, I'll help you out." This is
So
the very
bad.
definition of
David,
gaslighting, isn't it?
It is. He is.
People misuse that word quite a lot, but this
surely was textbook. I mean, if anyone's gonna get it just right, it's David, isn't it? But do it to your mum, David. That's forgivable. She's Gail, you're David. Of course you can. But to your wife, what has Shona done to deserve this? You had to ask. Seriously.
Well,
does he think he's going to get away with it? He's lived on a street for 40 odd years, 35 years, seeing people not getting away with stuff like this. What makes him think he's so special?
Interesting question.
Oh my gosh.
It's David Platt.
He has got it coming to him. She's going to bide her time and then swoop. Right. Lauren visits Dee-Dee later and says, "Do you think that Max is going to get off with the self-defense charge?" And Dee-Dee's like, "I haven't got time for this now, but isn't it great that Joel is gone?" And Lauren says,
dead.
"Oh, but I'm always going to think about Joel when I look at Frankie." Oh, this is kind of tied into the whole what Dee-Dee's getting up to at the moment. Anyway, it's me and him against the world. So she's kind of looking forward, and Dee-Dee is meanwhile thinking, "I am never going to be able to forget that the baby that's inside me is indeed Joel's." That's to come later. David tells Nick in the pub later, "I've got it all sorted. I blamed her brain injury." Nick should be sympathetic with Shona on this because he's brain injured as well.
Nick
Half
and
that family
David
is.
both kidding themselves
Gail's had a
this
lobotomy.
week that they think they got things under control.
Who does? David
Nick and David, both of them. They think they got their women under control.
They are playing with fire, those plats, at the moment, aren't they? So, Wednesday, David sorted a lawyer for Max's case, and he is still determined, and rightly so, that Max is covering for Lauren.
Oh.
Yeah. Shona says...
How's he got money for this? And he's not got... Oh, is he using the money from the bag? Where's he going to buy a house then?
Yes, he has got his bag money, hasn't he? Yeah. Another week goes by with no Gail, by the way. Like, what?
Who's Gail? I thought she left.
I'd be really fascinated to know. No, the alternate universe, the parallel universe-ness of this Martin Platt comeback that never was. How much would he be in this? Because we're well past the reshoot territory now, aren't we? And everything that's happening at the moment was going to happen anyway, but would it have happened without Martin making an appearance?
I'm really fascinated.
It's baffling.
That's one. Yeah, I've got many secrets I wish that I could find out from Coronation Street, but this is pretty high.
This is pretty high up. Well, the guy who plays Jesse, what's his name? John Tomkinson? Tompkins? Oh, I can't remember. There was something funny in the news with him this week because after swooping in to save the day at Coronation Street with Sean Wilson's sudden departure, he's only gone and done the same for Beverly Callard in Panto. Yeah, she's had to pull out. John Thompson. There we go. She was doing a panto as these ex-soap stars are wont to do, and she's had to pull out for health reasons, and he's jumped in and become the star name. So he's just the guy to call if somebody has to leave.
Wrong, phone him up.
Yeah, he's the ultimate understudy. I don't think he's playing the evil queen or whatever it was that Beverly Callard was going to do. But but where is he? And I think if it had been Martin coming back, I don't think there's many people going, I just want to watch more Jessie. Where's Jessie? But I think, and I'm not including you in this, of course, darling, lots of people would be saying, where's Martin? We haven't seen Martin for donkey's years, and now he's come back and he's not here. I'm fascinated. This is I don't want to go to my grave without knowing what the original plan for this was. But anyway, I digress. So Shona is still with David, saying, I'm going to go and sit with Clayton today. And David's like, why? It's not like he knows you're there. And he flounces off. And then Shona gets a phone call. Ooh, what could that be? David, meanwhile, is out in the street with Lauren. And Max has refused to see him. And he tells Shona... What does he tell him? No. He tells Lauren.
David.
I've written Shona here, but Lauren makes much more sense. He tells Lauren that if Max tries to top himself in prison, it's all her fault. Kit comes in, breaks it all up, saying, look, police are investigating this, butt out David. And David later receives a message from Shona saying that Clayton has woken up. And I was like, we're going to see Clayton again. Nope.
Still refusing to see her.
I think that maybe Gail, Jessie and Clayton have all been locked in a cupboard somewhere in Media City. I think that's the only explanation. It's like, these characters are surely supposed to be in this story, but for some reason they're just not appearing on screen.
No, they're all in Weatherfield South.
You were pondering about Weatherfield South on Twitter this week, weren't you?
Because the tram stop is called Weatherfield North, which implies the existence of Weatherfield South.
Well, don't we know Weatherfield South exists? Isn't that where the rival donkey sanctuary is?
True.
Yeah.
It's an idyllic place. Don't you think? Everyone's happy there. For
sure. Yeah.
Or they're so depraved that they can't show anything they get up to.
Yeah, they're the post-watershed Weatherfield. You can't see it.
Raunchy.
Too racy. Anyway, so Clayton manages to go through another week without making an appearance, but we find out that he's woken up and he doesn't want to see Shona. And I kind of missed this. I had to rewatch this, and I saw some people online a bit confused about this as well, because Shona's saying, I need to go and see Clayton. And then before you know it, she's back on the street again. But what some people missed, and I missed, is her saying that Clayton has refused to see her, right?
Yes.
Because he's under the impression, because David said as much, that she doesn't want to know. Yeah. I mean... I would have thought Shona would just barge in. She's quite good at doing that sort of thing, isn't she?
He's probably He's probably got guards on the door because he's a prisoner.
Yeah, maybe. But Shona.
Well, just imagine the guard there going, never said nothing about people going in. Anyone can go in. It's just they can't come back out again.
I'd still
It's not my job.
If I was Shona, I'd still take my chances against an armed guard because I think she's pretty impervious to bullets, isn't she? She's seen off one gunman once. Exactly. Has she got like a metal plate in her skull? I wonder.
Ting, ting, ting.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe like a Jedi. If you shoot her, she can deflect it back at you.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But she's decided not to take the risk today. And she's back really on the street. She stops Lauren and the foster lady called Helen. Exactly.
Helen.
And she is not pleased to hear that David has been telling her all about Clayton as well.
I just think of Mr. Brittas.
Mr. Brittas, Helen. Exactly. Lauren asks Shona to let her know if she hears anything about Max. Speaking of which, he's there in the prison talking to his solicitor. And then she's like, well, why did you refuse to see your dad earlier? And he's like, well, he just doesn't believe me, so I don't want anything to do with him. Thank you very much. Anyway, they get talking about his case and how pleading self-defence isn't as easy as you might think. You can't just say, he was attacking me, so can you let me go, please? His story needs to be completely watertight, which it clearly isn't.
No.
The whole rock angle thing is enough to raise a few eyebrows among the jury. And Max is... You can tell just he's making it up as he goes along, and he's just like, oh well, maybe he turned his head, and that's when I hit him. The thing is, it's not completely 100% implausible, is it? That this is what happened.
The thing is about it, there are loads of like mysterious unsolved cases where things have happened. And the solution is going to have to be improbable in some way because the evidence doesn't add up. And the police are usually quite happy to kind of tie things up in a neat bow. If somebody's saying they did it...
I mean, I might, if I were working for Weatherfield Police and not I would dare tell them how to do their jobs or anything, I might be seeing if there's any footprints that might belong to Lauren up there, perhaps, or any fibres from her clothes or any lovely long blonde hair or anything, really. I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult to find out whether she was there. Or just look at last Friday's curry on ITVX if you want a straight away answer to it.
Well, they're like, look, you don't have to convince anyone but the jury
that
you're the one that did this.
Yeah.
But if I was Max, I'd just be saying, I don't know what to tell you. I hit him on the head with a rock. I don't know where he was looking. I was fighting for my life. I wasn't paying attention to the direction he was facing. I just wanted to get him off me.
You might think, I forget, I was going to say he might be acting a little bit more, oh my God, I killed somebody, but it was a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Maybe
the other thing about it too is that the fact that I think one of the problems he would have come up against if it hadn't shaken out the way it did, is that the fact that the wounds on the back of his head completely undermines his idea that he was doing it in self-defense, because the only way to hit someone on the back of the head is if they're not facing you. And if they're not facing you, it feels like you're not in imminent danger. No. I think that's fine. If Joel was leering over him and literally they're about to kill him, if he had a momentary lapse of concentration and turn the other way, I think most people would take their chances. Yeah, I know, but you could still, if you're the prosecution, you could still try to turn that into a murder charge instead of self-defense by saying, if you were truly fighting for your life, he would have hit him on the front of the head, not the back of the head. I think that you would just go whatever surface presented itself to you at the opportune moment. Yeah, but the surface is facing you is the back of his head. Yeah. Can you not understand what I'm saying? I'm just being deliberately obtuse, really. You're not being obtuse, you're just being argumentative. Why not? Why not? Anyway, look, it doesn't matter. We get to see Lauren's foster home later, don't we? I know. They made a little set for it. Shona goes round for a visit, which was bizarre, and kind of takes Frankie for a cuddle. And this is where the story kind of ramped up, really, wasn't it? Because it doesn't take long before Lauren is confessing to Shona that she was actually the one that killed Joel. Forget his name then. I was like out of mind. It's interesting what you were saying about what would have happened to Martin? Because this would have made sense if Martin had done this. If Martin had gone round. Maybe. What, confess to like a third party? I know. I don't know why you would have gone to see a baby. Who knows? I did not expect
the truth to come out quite this soon.
No, I know, it's a bit
I was
silly.
expecting this
Well,
to
it's not
be
silly.
like weeks, months secret that only Max and Lauren would have between each other, or even like when Shona found out about it, I was like, okay, Shona knows about it now, but nobody else is going to find out about it. Shona's going to be keeping the secret. David's going to be keeping the secret about the emails and all that. Shona's going to have a secret and is going to tear the family apart. But no, Shona's like, look, you're nuts, but I think your idea could work, because she shows her the letter, doesn't she? Does Lauren, and saying, "Look, this is Max's idea. It wasn't mine." She starts blubbing again. Like I think that Lauren's mission. Sometimes when people get new houses and like they want to do it in all the rooms, I think that Lauren's mission is to cry in every set in Coronation Street, even the new ones.
Yeah.
Like when she says, "I'm going to christen this new room," it's like I'm gonna cry in it. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
And she's crying here, she's crying in the prison, she's crying at the Platt's house, literally.
Crying on the street.
I want to see like a ratio of crying to non-crying scenes that she's in. I think she has surpassed Rana,
Yeah.
but people aren't making a big thing of it. Like, it was a meme that Rana always cried, but I seriously think that Lauren is up there.
Yeah.
And she's just crying and miserable all the time.
She's not having a great
Cheer
time,
up,
is
love.
she?
Come on. You got a baby. You got your...
She's
you're getting away with
to get
murder.
worse, isn't it? I think the reason why I was surprised that this came out so fast is because I really thought they were setting up a great kind of juxtaposition between Max and David, having a son who killed somebody, and Shona and Clayton, and Shona having a son who killed somebody.
It seemed to me, and they barely even made mention of it.
They're like, nah.
Yeah, I know. That seemed to have a lot
It
more
felt like
potential.
there was more potential there than they milked out of it. But
yeah,
I'm sure they've got other things to do.
I'm sure they've
now.
got their reasons for it,
Yeah.
and I don't like to see the wrong person unlawfully imprisoned in Coronation Street. I like Max, and
I love injustice.
And if Lauren gets banged up and we don't have to see her whinging on for a little bit, then I'm fine with that. But it seems like we are seeing her whinging down the phone, so we can't even escape that then. But anyway, so the truth's out, and Max phones up Lauren while Shona is there, and she says, "Look, sorry, Shona knows what happened. Shona wants to talk to him." And Max says, "Look, I know what I'm doing. I can handle this. Please just let me make my decision and serve how many years for murder?" Because the original plan was to plead self-defense. Well, he's still pleading self-defense, isn't he? But he's being charged with murder.
Yeah, because he bashed him on the back of the head, not the front of the head. It makes a big difference.
He seems a little bit too chill at this point, but I don't know. I think maybe if I was thinking, so I might not get away with this, I might also be thinking, maybe I'm not as valiant as I first thought I was. It was her, Shona did it. I mean, Lauren did it. It was nothing to do with me.
You definitely dropped me in it.
If I was...
Yeah, you wouldn't go to prison for me. You wouldn't go to prison for me, would you? No, you wouldn't.
Well, I think of all the Coronation Street I'd miss. They don't show that in there, I
bet that's the only thing you're allowed to watch in there.
What's that they punish the prisoners with? By showing them the cloud era Coronation Street.
Maybe they'll make you watch EastEnders.
Oh my gosh, no. I hear that's... I don't know that that's supposed to be good at the moment. But I think he's just like...
He's young and stupid, and he doesn't.
I think it's just
he doesn't get it. He's too young to really think this through, and I know that young adults think that they.
I'm sure we'd all like to say, I'd kill for you, I'd go to prison for you, I'd whatever for you, but in practical terms,
she's not even that great of a girlfriend.
No, she's not. He's like Sabrina. Absolutely.
I'll go to prison for Sabrina.
I'll go to prison for Sabrina, but not Lauren. I know that he's thinking of Frankie as well. He's just too darn nice about it, isn't he?
I know, these white supremacists, they really are just too nice.
He's gone from white supremacist to white knight, hasn't he? Seriously.
Yep.
So anyway, Lauren's still musing over whether she should fess up about whether she was even there or not, and the fact that she saw Max bludgeoning him to just try and corroborate his fantastical story a little bit longer. And Shona's like, no, this isn't going to work. You're just going to have to tell... I'm going to have to tell David. maybe I could get David on my side. Maybe, you know. How did Shona really think that David would go for? I was
She's
watching
got brain
this.
damage, Michael.
I was watching this, and I was thinking, surely they're not going to convince David to let his son-ish be imprisoned just to protect a baby, and then like, seriously, that was a nuts idea, Shona, so I'm very glad she went to it.
When you said get a prison to protect a baby, it really did sound like Frankie was in the frame for it. Like, this baby did it somehow. Look at his shifty eyes.
Yeah, no one suspects the baby. Anyway, Shona's like, well, look, I'm going to give it a try, okay? So after the break, and David's heard the idea, and he thinks, quite rightly, that this is absolutely insane. He's like, I'm going to go off to the station and tell them that my son is innocent, and it was Lauren. To bang her up, put her in chains. So Lauren is back at the flat on her own later, having cry of the minute. She
coming down.
I think so. She's got Frankie on her lap, and she's there. Oh, I'm going to be locked up a bit, but you'll be fine.
You're horrible.
And the kit and the foster lady, Helen, come round later, and she gets arrested.
Oh no!
Hands over the baby. Take good care of him. And the kit. I've got.
You'd be sad if you had to leave the cat. You'll never see the cat again. It's not like, you know, Lauren. She could possibly have visits with Frankie. There's no visiting hours for cats. Can you
That's
imagine?
true, actually.
You'd
this
never
is
see the cat again.
discrimination. There's a mother and baby unit. You're right, but where's the
owner
father and pet unit?
Father and cat daughter.
Yes. I want to see that.
I think it would probably.
Can you just imagine visiting time, and I'm sitting there at the table, and she's just sitting there on the other side of the table.
And you're like, I can't feed you. I'm sorry.
Abby'd come and visit me.
No, she wouldn't.
Seriously, like, anyway, I'm not an unsympathetic person, but there's only so much of Lauren's blubbing that I can take.
Well, she's sad. Get over it.
I know, but
Kit drags her away.
Kit drags her away, yeah, exactly. And Lauren's told Kit, yeah, fair cop, I was at the bridge. I lied because I was scared of going to prison and losing the baby.
But I did see Max
I definitely saw Max kill Joel. Though. And Kit's like, well, actually, I think it was you that did it, actually. And she says, no, it was Max, like he says. And this is when Kit hands her a copy of Max's letter.
Max, you dumb idiot.
Oh, yeah, because Shona had taken the letter to show David, hadn't he?
And David went, I know I'll do this.
Hey, here's the evidence. Later on, she's confessed.
What was that accent?
I don't know. She said, I only went through this as it was Max's idea, and Kit's like, well, you're both...
Yeah, you're both in trouble now.
You're both in trouble now.
Perverting make it better.
The course of justice. But for now, we're just going to charge you with murder, if that's okay. So there we go.
I think they should change that. I think that's kink shaming. Perverting the course of justice is kink shaming, isn't it?
Why?
We're not supposed to do that anymore.
So Max gets home at the beginning of Friday's episode, and it's funny how quick a turnaround can be, can't it? Like, I thought that sometimes it takes a little while for them to do the paperwork.
Well, Nathan's still in prison as far as we know.
As far as we know, Nathan, who definitely... I don't know whether he is. I'm not sure, you know. Even like...
They don't even care.
Did Roy get out pretty quickly once it was clear that he didn't do it? I think he was out the same episode, actually, wasn't he?
And what about... Oh, no, don't worry about it. Okay. I was just thinking about Colt Man, but he's...
Colt Man is still... Well, he got a shout out this week, didn't he? Tracy comes storming into the cafe and says, "I hope you're going to be there to give evidence at his court hearing." So
I'm still mad.
Watch this space for Rowan's grand finale.
We never got Leanne changing her name to like.
I know.
Something.
Little bit
flowery.
of unfulfilled potential, but I think that story had a good run.
I thought it was okay. I quite like. I know lots of people hated it.
I know. I enjoyed.
We can talk about it next week when he turns up or not.
Or whatever. Anyway, Friday, as I said, Max is home, but there's no time for celebrations because Lauren is now in prison. And Shona's like to David, "We really need to tell Max that we dropped Lauren in it because he's not going to be happy if he finds it from someone else." And so Lauren's on the phone to Roy later. We just get a little scene there. having a bit of a cry down the phone, I expect, and says, look, just keep an eye out on Max and Frankie for me. I'll phone you later, okay? I can't remember what Roy said. It was like, phone me any time, as long as it's not between the hours of 8 and 5 or something like that. So, foster lady... Helen is at number 8 later, telling David and Max that Lauren's applied for Frankie to come into prison and be in the mother and baby unit. So this is what we had the whole story of that with Fizz when she was in prison back 15 odd years ago, didn't we? And there was the other skanky prisoner who was hiding drugs in the baby's cots. Do you remember that?
Shouldn't do that.
So anyway,
that's how babies end up getting arrested.
It's and it's quite nice actually, or not too bad. But then Kit comes a knocking.
Well,
and he's like,
I thought it was super telling and kind of sad at the sort of things that Helen must see on a daily basis, that she's like, compared to some of the slums that these women live in and try to raise children in, prison is actually really nice.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
But it's no number 8 Coronation Street, I'll tell you that. Kit comes round and he says he needs Max down the station. He's got a lot of explaining to do. So he has his interview. He's refused a solicitor. He's like, look, let me tell you exactly what happened. Blah, blah, bang, bang, bosh. He was bonked on the head. End of story. And
Kit says, you pervert!
Basically, it doesn't take long for it to all come out that Lauren didn't actually hand herself in, which is what Max has gone into this interview thinking.
Yeah, you're a pervert of justice. You're both going to be in trouble.
Yeah, Kit says, I got your letter, actually, so what are you going to do about it? You're both in trouble. Max gets home and he is clearly not impressed with David and Shona.
Like, you know, on the one hand, my plan didn't go quite as I thought it would do, but, you know, it's kind of nice that Lauren turned herself in to save me. And then he finds out that it was his family that betrayed him, and Lauren still doesn't care.
They did the right thing.
Yeah, of course they did.
I would hope that in time he might forgive them for this.
I bloody hope. He's such a twat, isn't he?
So David says, look, you couldn't sacrifice your life to save Lauren.
Lauren's not even been in it for long enough. This is what David's like. David, he says, look, Max, you're a legacy character here, guy. You're in the Platt family. You can't just be throwing your life in prison
just
away
for the latest
a character
blonde
that's
chav.
Not been in it for 2 years.
Yeah.
You must be kidding me.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen how long her contract is? You don't even know if she's going to be in it next year. You got to think the long term. Like me, I've been here for years. I've done all kinds of stuff, but I get away with it because I look at my contract before I do the script.
Exactly. If you want to get yourself a girlfriend, Max, pick yourself somebody who's steady, who's going to be in it for the long run. Go out with someone like Amy. Go out with Asher, go out with Mary.
Let's shore up the future of these families.
Yes, exactly. Family, yeah.
Game of Thrones style. Let's have a wedding.
We don't want Platt Boltons.
No.
Platt Barlows. That's the way it's going.
Are trouble.
Yeah. So anyway, Max is not in the mood to hear this, unfortunately.
No, he doesn't find it funny like we do.
He storms off and goes and sits in the cafe, and it's a moodily lit cafe. Roy's there offering a listening ear and saying, well, look, Shona's determined to do the right thing for you, Max, and Lauren. This is what's happened.
You can't be a pervert of justice.
He says you cannot be a pervert of justice. The justice system should not be undermined. And Max is like, you get thrown away in prison yourself earlier this year. But Roy is like, no, the law's the law.
Law's the law.
And Max,
and also Lauren, you know, she got me in trouble.
Yeah, Max has another cry and says, I just can't imagine Lauren being in prison. And Roy says, well, look, she's supposed to be calling me back later. Maybe you should stick around and you can have a chinwag with her. So she calls up later and Roy passes the phone to Max and she's like, oh, I should have fessed up from the start. Don't blame David and Shona. This is the right thing. I
miss Frankie. Michael.
It's true. Go on, Bennett.
I know, but you can't complain about a mother crying that she can't see her baby.
Oh, I'd give her one tear, but you know,
she's being told to cry, and she's doing a bloody good job of it.
Kate Fitton is a master crier, but I just don't
can I just say, if you're a Coronation Street actress, and they say to you, "All right, love, we're just sorting out the stories coming up. Are you a good crier?" Just say no. Just say I'm like the Prince Andrew of crying. My tear ducts don't work.
Yep.
Since the Falklands War, I've been unable to cry. So don't even try me on it.
Yep.
And you'll be released.
You're dry. I'm drier
dry as
than
Sahara.
Yeah, I was thinking of saying a bit more
I'm dry as a
unsavoury
rich tea
there.
biscuit. I'm dunked.
Yeah, it's not good for you. If you're a crier, you will get misery thrown at you. They probably just have it as a standard on the audition now, don't they?
Yeah, can you just cry for no reason for a minute, please?
Yeah. Anyway, Max goes back home and tells them that Frankie... Oh, yeah, because, sorry, I forgot to mention this bit. Lauren asks Max to look after Frankie if she doesn't get him in the prison. And Max goes back home and tells David this is what's happening. He's not asking. He's like, Frankie's going to live with us, actually.
Get your own flat, then.
And David is somewhat taken aback by this. So...
Well, he's like, you can't just have a baby. This is a very big commitment. She's not even our family. And silly Max says, well, we're the closest she's got.
Kind of. I suppose
The
her
rest of
dad
the family's
can't
in prison.
look after him, can he? Helen seemed quite nice.
Yeah, but Helen's a foster person.
She's not going to look after him, is she?
I don't know whether she's like, she must have a special, set up for mothers and babies. And if Lauren's not there, what's the point of her looking after a baby? It's one thing to look after a baby. It's another thing to have somebody who's looking after the baby while they live in your house.
I mean,
Helen's probably like, I don't even like kids, to be honest with you.
We're not necessarily the biggest fans of baby storylines and characters having babies,
Well, this
and that
is
just
fine
becomes
though.
them.
This is more
But
interesting.
I kind of maybe like to see Max as a parent, possibly.
I
But
just think he's so naive, this poor kid.
I know.
I look after a baby. It's not a sack of flour.
No, it's not an egg.
No.
It's
It's noisy and smelly, and you're going to get annoyed with it. And also, she's probably got loads of... poor Frankie's probably got loads of medical problems.
If this Frankie is anything like his mum,
Crying.
she's crying all night.
Crying.
But
I say hold him over a bucket, and then you can use the tears for some kind of use. Like flush the toilets.
Yeah, it's very
baby
environmentally
tears.
conscious, isn't it?
Yes, baby tears. That's a good swap. When the Southern Water sends you the bill and they're like, if you could thought of some ideas for like not using so much water, you pig. Baby tears to flush your toilets.
There we go.
Just an
do
idea.
you think that the fact that this this option is being put on the table here, is this going to mean that Lauren isn't going to end up being able to take the baby, or do you think she just will? And it was it was a bit of a climax for climax's sake.
I think now they've said it, it feels like they're going to have at least a few scenes of them.
But what's the
unable to cope?
I think that she's. Why wouldn't they give her the baby? I know, apart from all the crying, she's not that unstable, is she? Just because she killed the... I suppose, in the world of Coronation Street, they'll think of a reason for anything. But yeah. I honestly think that it would be a bit heartless, unnecessarily heartless, to not give this poor girl her baby in prison. Not
letting you see your cat.
So
if I didn't kill a cat, why shouldn't I have my cat with me?
So, will Lauren get away with this? What she's done completely illegal? Is it forgivable?
I don't like to say this very much because I do feel like we say this a bit too much. But my main question here is, and I'm not trying to be flippant. I am genuinely asking, even as somebody who's like this storyline, if Lauren does go to prison for this, who cares?
Harsh. There are some Lauren fans out there.
I'm just asking who cares. And I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm just pointing out the fundamental flaw of this story is that it's built around a character that hasn't been in it very long, and a lot of people don't like. I don't have a problem with her. I would be, oh, that's sad. It seems unfair, because she really, I feel the same way about her killing Joel as I do about Yasmin attacking Jeff. You can only push somebody so far. I don't know if it is a crime or not. I don't know.
Well, no. Well, I showed you this earlier. We did a little bit of research on this. I used ChatGPT, which is, where I go for all my best legal advice at the moment. And I put a little query into ChatGPT describing the situation. And it seemed to think that, I can't remember what it said now. It
said, don't worry about it. You'll be fine.
I think it said that it's, you might be able to convince them it's not murder. It's manslaughter, but equally a jury or a court might see that what she's done was understandable in the circumstances. Was that kind of the general gist of it? I asked whether she was likely to walk free, And my legal advisor, ChatGPT, said, no, a custodial sentence is still quite likely, but it could certainly be reduced for quite a bit, given the mitigating circumstances that she clearly thought that her friend was in quite deadly danger.
I like the way you wrote to
ChatGPT.
You're like, say someone's got a friend.
I know.
who's
classic,
someone
isn't
with
it?
in the wrong
Just saying, I'm going to have OpenAI. They're sending the police on the case as is.
Just out of interest.
No, it says, in summary, I'm just looking at the bottom of it now. While they would likely avoid a murder conviction, imprisonment is still a probable outcome for manslaughter. The specific circumstances, however, including the level of threat, the proportionality of the response, and the defender's state of mind, would heavily influence sentencing. But,
Can I just give you a quick...
Reasonable force and defence of another is a thing under the Criminal Law Act 1967. I don't know. So it looks like she could get away with it. And in Coronation Street, so if there's a tiny chance that something could actually happen, they'll often make that happen.
Yeah.
So I actually think that Lauren's probably going to get away with this, and she'll just join the clan of walking killers on Coronation Street alongside Tracy and Toya.
I also think that it's
And Gary.
just as probable that she'll get away with it and then leave with Frankie. We'll never see her again.
Do you reckon her time might be up?
I don't know.
Is she going to be exploring space and time in the TARDIS in a couple of years' time?
Let me just demonstrate to you how reliable ChatGPT is. Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to
It's
recall
watertight.
what Carla had done this year in general. Right.
Yeah.
So I said, what's Carla done in 2024? And so ChatGPT said to me, Carla faced a new chapter in 2024 with her focus shifting towards rebuilding Underworld. She found herself pitted against a powerful corporate rival. She also revisited her complicated family dynamics when a Connor family secret came to light, bringing old wounds to the surface. And I was like, what was that then? Well, let me tell you. In 2024, the Connor family secret revolved around a previously unknown child fathered by Johnny Connor during an affair in the late 1980s. The revelation came to light when a young woman named Ellie, arrived in Weatherfield claiming to be Johnny's daughter. Blah, blah, blah.
Look.
Hang on. News sent shockwaves. Late father, Ellie's expectations of being welcomed into the Connor fold. And I wrote, did that really happen? And ChatGPT wrote, no. The storyline about Johnny Connor's secret child is fictional. I created it as a possible dramatic twist.
I'm not saying that ChatGPT is a go-to for watertight Coronation Street advice, but it does know the law. And if you ever want to check anything out, whether you've done something a bit dodgy, you want to check whether you're going to go down for it.
Don't ask
don't
ChatGPT
get a
anything.
Brief. Don't get a solicitor. Don't even get the duty solicitor. Just ask ChatGPT. Anyway, so I think probably in the end she's going to get away with it. I don't think.
I know, but I can't even be bothered to care about it. I'm not trying to be mean. I think I'd rather
she didn't, because I just don't.
I'm really not trying to be mean about it. I think she's done a great job. I think the character's working as well as it is, and I am kind of a bit. I am going to say this. I'm sick and tired of these ne'er-do-well waifs and strays coming on the street and being turned around by the power of Roy's sainthood into doing well for themselves. Like, can't we just have someone be a wrong'un and come in as a wrong'un and kind of be troubled and then leave troubled, and that's it, and they don't change?
And the moral of the story is some people just stay troubled.
Well, everyone seems to, there's like a template now for like Becky's to come along, and there've been just so many young blonde troublemakers who, through the power of Roy's friendship, have turned into fairly reasonable people that have happy endings. And it just kind of grates on me after a while, and there's only so many I can care about. Yeah. And Lauren's just the latest in a long line, it feels like.
What do you think about David and Shona dobbing Lauren in? Was that the right move?
I mean, sensible I hope that this is going to come to something. That's all I don't really care whether Lauren goes to prison or not, but I would be interested in her coming out of prison and maybe having to deal with, maybe these two people are going to be her in-laws. Who knows what Max will decide to do. Maybe they'll get married and he'll be Frankie's dad, and then Shona and David will have a grudge, and there'll be a new generation of like Ivy and Gail. That would be interesting if it built into something that is an interesting relationship.
But Lauren at the moment is already saying that she forgives David and Shona for shopping her and saying it was the right thing.
Yeah, but maybe in time she might get annoyed.
I don't know, maybe. I'm more interested in what's going to happen. I'm more interested in the David and Shona dynamic, clearly, in the fact that he's being an awful gaslighter, and
I know, but this is
the clock is just ticking until she finds out.
Now that Max isn't in prison, it felt like more interesting to me when Max was in prison and David was flippant about Clayton.
I hope that we do.
This kind of proves David's point in a way, because David's all high and mighty, like, oh well, you won't catch my son killing people.
Yeah, he's right, actually. I hope that... I just need the focus to be away from Lauren for a bit. Let's swing the pendulum the other way and have more Clayton and Shona and David stuff next week. And God, maybe even a bit of Gail and Jessie if we're lucky. Okay, let's move on. That wasn't too bad a story. Swallow their pride, Gemma. What's going on? What's going on between these two lovebirds this week?
Well, Carla is very pleased on Wednesday to hear that Bostello is letting Lisa start again next week back at the old police mill. And she's so distracted by this.
They have a little meeting outside the cafe, don't
Carla
they?
And Swain, she's like standing in the way of the door, and Carla's like, can I get in? And Lisa's like, ooh, yeah. then along comes Betsy, and if you thought that I was going to say Lorraine. You thought that Lauren likes peeing on your cornflakes. Betsy just takes a dump in them. Because she turns up and Swain's all, bubble-headed, full of love. And Betsy points out that she's clearly forgotten that it's Becky's birthday today.
I think, and I'm not the biggest Betsy defender in the world, but I'm going to say
You'd be a bit
that she's got every right.
We don't really know how long Becky's been dead either.
I don't think it really matters.
No, I know.
I think if you died, then when October the 2nd rolled around, I might give you a bit of a thought. Even if I was dating someone else at the time, which of course I would not do because I'm under strict instruction that once you pop your clogs, I'm single for the rest of my life.
I die, every single copy of this podcast is going to be cremated with me. I hope you guys know that.
I think you just need to let the listeners know that if ever they hear that I dating the superstar.
If you start doing this podcast with someone else, everybody come and kill him with a rock.
Yeah.
And I'll say it was self-defense.
There we go. So, no, seriously, Swain.
No, seriously.
Swain, what are you doing? Just because your head turned by Carla, how on earth can you forget that?
But it's a really... hang on a minute. It's a really hard date to remember, isn't it?
November the 20th.
Yeah, who remembers 2011?
Well, I know that it's my mum's birthday next week and she's been dead 9 years. And I don't think that Becky's been dead that long. So, Swain, you got no excuse here. Becky is absolutely right to say, I can't believe that you're too full of... Betsy. Betsy is full of the...
I mean, apart from... Look, okay,
new love.
I'm not really... I don't really care whether Swain remembers or not.
We're getting all the names wrong tonight.
But I think that for her daughter's sake, she probably should have remembered.
Yes.
Because whether or not she's like the sort of person, because I've always said this, I think anniversary dates, you don't try to remember them because it's going to make you sad.
But
I know you can't always forget them, but looking at the calendar and kind of marking it, and if it's not helping you, don't do it. So, there are different coping strategies, and maybe Swain is one of these people. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying maybe Swain's one of these people who've decided that she doesn't want to remember. But relevant to that is that Betsy has, and Betsy's the one who's had a greater loss, really, because you can never replace your mum.
To be fair to
Swain's
Lisa...
already shacked up with Carla by the end of Friday.
To be fair to Lisa, she does end the week. And I know we've heard this a lot of times from her recently, saying, Betsy's first, she comes first to me, I'm going to do everything for her. But I would have thought that if this had been her plan, she might have thought, what sort of things coming up might Betsy care
give
about?
Give her a break. She's had so much on, Michael. She's very busy.
Okay.
So... Betsy's devastated, And Lisa is clearly knocked by this because she goes to the pub and starts to drown her sorrows, doesn't she?
She does.
She starts drinking whiskey. Then she starts playing darts.
It's only because they don't stock iron brew in the Rovers, isn't it? She had to go to the next best thing.
She's like closing one eye to try to nearly takes Ryan's other side of his face off with a dart.
Do you think that Lisa spends a lot of time in Scotland, or she did when she was younger, and that's where she got her favourite drink tastes from?
Own brew.
A bit of own brew and whiskey.
Own brew.
If you see her eating a deep fried Mars bar, I'll throw her onto something.
So she's
after a dirty kebab.
Ryan's trying to stop her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not drunk at all. I'm totally fine." And so she goes to the loo, and Ryan calls Carla up, and so she does this other. I thought she was great. Vicky Myers, when she was doing this, how did she decide how to perform this? Because there's so many different ways she could have. Like, Lisa sings drunkenly along to Crazy, but she kind of really there was so much nuance into this. Like, what is she thinking when she's singing this song? You can see she's just, like, remembering all the things she's done wrong and how she's messed up. And she's, like, singing morosely along to Crazy.
What I want to know is when they have characters singing along to the radio...
And she's not even in time, is she?
Quite often it's nowhere near in time, and I think... Are they just singing, to an empty room and then they pipe in the music afterwards?
No, I think they play it and they sing.
Do you reckon? Because I think quite often when there's radio on and characters are singing along to it, it's very often not in time.
Do you think that they get a reduction in the music rights?
I don't know, maybe.
Like, if you sing Crazy but you perform it very, very well, you owe us £150, but if you sing it crap,
it's got to be bad enough that Niles Barkley is not going to be on our case for the performance rights.
Completely rewrite the song by singing it badly. So Carla turns up and she takes her back to the flat, trying to hydrate her with a nice mug of tea, which apparently is what Becky used to say. Everybody knows that a nice mug of tea is a very uncommon phrase in this country.
Becky's copyrighted that one, clearly.
So Swain starts...
Although I think it's more a nice cup of tea is what we generally say in this country. So maybe Becky saying mug of tea was a bit more unique. Although we do say a cup of tea, but we do have it in mugs.
Yeah, I know.
When was the last time I actually had a teacup with tea in?
We're a country of sham artists, aren't we? We pretend we're all so posh, but where are the saucers? In the cupboard. So anyway, she starts lamenting that she's missed Becky's birthday, saying she's a bad mum and a bad wife. Curls up on the sofa and she's fallen asleep before Carla's even had the chance to finish making the tea. So Carla drapes a blanket over her and leaves her to snooze. So she wakes up the next day on Friday and she's like, "Where am I?
I think she got so drunk that she thinks it's the next day, but actually 2 days have passed."
Yeah. So Carla finds this so funny and she's teasing her, and it is really adorable because she's like, "Yeah, you made a show yourself. You were singing, you were throwing darts in people's faces." So she has a shower and she's sort of wandering around wearing Carla's clothes at various points. This is different clothes.
We've had a problem with this in the past on the podcast. This has just opened up a memory.
A problem?
Yeah, the idea of people going around each other's houses and just picking up whatever dressing gown seems to come to hand.
You shouldn't pick up a random dressing gown. Don't wear
someone else's dressing gown. Yeah, it seems to be a common thing that people do. Is this a thing that people do in real life?
I don't want to reveal too much about our personal life, but maybe people wash their dressing gowns more than you do.
Yes, my dressing gown...
Your dressing gown follows you to the shower.
But
waits outside.
It's a personal item, isn't it?
Yeah, I think...
I wouldn't like the idea, washed or not, of anyone else.
I wouldn't wear someone else's pants.
No. Although maybe Swain was on Friday's episode.
I'd rather just wear my trousers with no pants on than wear someone else's pants. And I think it's worse for someone else to wear my pants. If somebody wore my pants, then now your pants.
Yeah.
You don't need to bring those back. You can have those pants.
I just think it's very...
But look, we don't know, because it's not like I wear your boxer shorts and vice versa, is it? This is a completely different situation.
It's not like we often get into the situation where we go, "Oh, I've just had a shower in someone else's house, but I've got nothing to wear." Like, generally, that hasn't happened to me ever in my life.
I know.
Maybe if it did, I'd be like, maybe.
Same characters they've got different rules to us.
Yeah.
So she has a shower and she's like, look, can I just stay here for a bit because I'm still a bit and does she throw up at this point?
I didn't think she threw up.
Yeah, she does.
Does
She runs and chucks up, and I think that's
yeah.
why she has a shower. So Ryan is very excited about this. I thought he's very cool about this, and he acts like he acts like they've been going out
Carla,
together.
I mean, Ryan is clearly the president of the Swarla fan club,
Yeah,
isn't
I know.
he?
He's like, tell me what happened.
He's the one that's
You're
stirring
right.
it all up on Twitter at the moment.
He's the one with the WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
So he makes all the gifts. Bless him. So he's their champion and cheerleader, and he wants to know all the details.
Tell you what, if Ryan's the one that keeps on going onto our YouTube channel and watching our Vicky Myers interview,
Yeah,
then
carry
good on him.
bloke. Yeah, put it on repeat. So Carl's like, I didn't know what was going on here. This is just uncharted waters, and
This was the scene of, am I actually gay? Am I not gay?
am I
This
going?
is a bit...
I don't think she's ever thinking that. I don't think that's a word that she's ever gonna use.
No, but this is as close really as they got. I suppose there was a little bit later on after they did the deed.
What?
And Carla and
Well,
Carla
she
was
says,
like,
is that the first time you've ever been with a woman?
yeah.
I don't. You know, it's not down to me to say what you want to call yourself. And she's obviously decided that this is just
for
her.
anything.
It kind of reminds me a bit like what happened with Marcus and Maria, where Marcus was like, I am falling in love with a woman, even though I'm a gay man.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Carla's like, this doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be anything. It's just me and Lisa. And Ryan says, you know, you clearly fancy her. You've got to get on with it. So Carla goes, all right then, I bloody will. She goes back home and Lisa's there with her. She's doing up her buttons or something. She's like, don't get dressed, baby. And then they start to kiss.
I couldn't believe this happened this week. Like, I'd seen in the previews, because people were banging on about it on the
Swarla
internet.
fans have been waiting for this, and they've been, every episode, they've been like, is this the episode?
Well,
is this the episode?
I think that in the previews, they'd shown the scene of Swain getting a bit tipsy in Carla's flat.
Yes,
and
that's
they were
right.
and they were like, oh, what's going to happen there?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, nothing's going to happen. It's just going to be a tease. I didn't expect
No,
it
me
to go
either.
quite this high octane in tonight's episode.
I thought there'd be a kiss.
I didn't have
and
my
then-
pearls around to clutch. I didn't even get them out the drawer.
I thought there would be a kiss one, like a very kind of like, "Mwah," and then oh dear, it's the end of the episode, and then let's just get on with it. There's so much tension here. We just got to get it out of the way.
Lisa's expression. She's thought her Christmases had come at once, didn't she?
Yeah,
She was
I know.
like,
She's
really?
like, oh.
Okay, then let's get in that
Didn't
bedroom.
know it was Christmas Day already. So the Swarla fans finally they've been fed this week. Very excited for them on Twitter. They've been having a blast.
I've not actually looked at Twitter since tonight's episode
Well,
has
I
aired.
knew this was going to happen because I was on Twitter this morning and I saw the gifs and the...
And what, 7 a.m. upload?
Yeah,
See,
we
we said it was the spoilers. You get it there? Well, there we go.
Wow, there we go.
It took me by surprise today.
So,
but I'm glad it's happened and the tension has been broken, even if it doesn't
they have
quite
slept
stick
with one
together
another
for the whole of the episode.
on the sofa, and they're both there. They look really relaxed and happy and chilled out, and they seem very satisfied with themselves, don't they?
Like, that was good, wasn't it?
But meanwhile, more things are happening with Betsy.
There's stuff going on with Betsy. That's going to be in the other story. She's had some dramas with the Warner Brothers.
Oh, that's coming out in a different... Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so they all end up in the pub together, and this is when Betsy realises.
I think that Carla and Swain have another go, and then they leave their love nest, don't they?
Yes.
And they go to the
they go to the pub, and then before long, Betsy's there.
Betsy works out
saying, hang on a minute.
because Lisa's wearing Carla's top.
Yeah.
Which, you know, fashion like you're wearing, is Betsy. If Ryan's the president of the Swarla fan club, is Betsy the president of the fashion fan club? Because she could spot that. I don't know if I would have noticed.
You're the only character that wears black on this programme.
Except, yeah, it was very an uncharacteristic colour for Lisa to wear, wasn't it? Because it was Carla's black.
Well, Lisa's just generally there with her pastel-y jumpers, isn't she?
Blues
So, yeah.
and creams and things. So, she's like fuming. She finds out, and she throws water all over Lisa and says, "One day after Becky's birthday, I can't believe it." And
again, yeah, she's kind of right, and I know that.
Well, they obviously didn't want her to find out.
It's really insensitive.
It's
I'm not saying that she shouldn't have done it at all,
It's a soap.
but she must have known.
It's always going to happen at the worst possible time.
Everything always happens at the worst possible time, but I think that Betsy is 100% entitled to be right knocked off at her mum for it. Nobody wants to think of their parents doing it anyway.
Well, listen, she's
doing it on this particularly important anniversary.
She's got many things here. Like, number one, when your parent, even if your parents just broke up, never mind one of them died, when the first time your parent moves on, you feel betrayed.
Yeah.
Secondly, this took her by surprise. It's not like they warned her in advance or told her. She kind of suspected something was going on. And so this took her by surprise, so she feels betrayed again on another level. And then thirdly, it happened the day of her mother's birthday, and she already was worried that, Lisa's forgotten. And so she's now thinking that Carla's trying to replace her mum. So she's absolutely furious.
Oh, by the way, we got she was talking a bit more about her at some point in the week, and she referred to Becky as Becky. Because we've been like, who's the actual birth
hang
mum?
on, yeah, what birth?
And definitely the way that Betsy was talking about Becky earlier seemed to imply that Becky wasn't it. I think Corrie is kind of confirmed now that Swain was the one to give birth. Although, maybe they'll have a story where it turns out that Betsy thought that Lisa was her mum all along, but actually it was Becky. Why on earth they'd want to cover that up and lie about it, other than soap drama? I don't know, but it could still happen.
So they go back to the flat, and
Swain and Carla.
Betsy's just not replying to any of the calls, and they have a bit of a spat because Carla's like, "Look, you're letting her walk all over you," and Betsy's like, "No, she's got the right. She should be hurt. She's absolutely in the right to be hurt about all of this." And she's like, "You don't even know what it's like to have a kid, so shut your mouth."
Lisa's very down on herself and has been, for a while now about herself as a mum, and she feels
now.
Yeah, she's had lots of reasons to think I'm a terrible mum, I'm not doing a good enough job, and she's a single parent. She's the only parent that Betsy's got now, so she's probably thinking it's even more important that I do a good job. But it feels like I'm failing again and again and again, and now I've mucked up, to this extent.
Yeah, and Carla's trying to bolster her, but she's not sympathising with her. She's like, "Becky's gone, you're here, you've got to live your life, you can't apologise for putting yourself first." So she's being supportive of Lisa, but not empathetic here. Like she doesn't get what as much as she should do, probably, that Lisa's devastated that she's let Betsy down.
Yeah, so
because she's seeing Betsy as this kind of like just coming between them.
The dream is now over temporarily. I don't know how long this is going to last, but it clearly is only temporary. That's not it.
No, there's more to come from Swarla, I'm sure.
Yeah. They're making the fans wait.
So Lisa storms off to try to find Betsy. And so Carla goes, she tells Ryan what's happened, goes bobs off to Sainsbury's, and she sees Betsy on her way back. And she's trying to... It's funny because she's really... I kind of love Carla for this. She doesn't try to make friends with Betsy or, placate her or apologise or say, "I know how you feel. I'm really sorry you found out like this. Your mum means a lot to me. I want to be your friend. I think we could get on. I'm so sorry about your mum." No, she's like, "You got to grow up. Your mum's dead. And I want to get with Lisa." Like, well, she does say, "Look, none of this is fair, but you've got to move on with your life." And I think because there's so much water under Carla's bridge. She's had so many husbands die. She's had she's miscarried a child.
Did her mum die? Was she the one that
died drowned? Yeah, her dad.
Was she the one that ran in front of the car? I lose track of all those cars.
No, that was Johnny. I think that was Johnny's wife, wasn't it?
Maybe, yeah, but is that... I don't know.
No, her mum does die at some point when
Yeah.
she's in the show, because Rob comes and talks to her about it, but her mum was very neglectful.
Okay.
So she's probably another thing about this is that she's had no model about what a good mum is. And so she sees Lisa and Betsy together and she's like, okay, well, my mum would have just told me to snap out of it. Because she was really abused when her and Rob, when they were kids, they were proper abused. Like, their mum used to sell drugs out of their pram.
Oh, really?
So Carla's got no template for what a loving family life
I mean,
is.
it's not like she's not seen them on the street, though.
Well, she wasn't even any, like, when she and Peter got together and Simon was young and Peter tried to make them play Happy Family, she couldn't even do it then. She's, like, not interested at all. She doesn't really care about children. She's not geared up.
Well, yeah, and she sees Betsy as being grown up enough to have these frank conversations.
Well, she thinks that she's emotionally mature enough to have a woman come and say, yeah, your mum's shagged me now, so get over it, your other mum's dead. But it doesn't really work out like that, does it?
No.
She's not being very tactful. Betsy says to her, my mum never even thought of being with anyone else before you came along. And Carla's trying to say, look, she deserves happiness, she's got to move on. You both got to move on because your mum's not coming back, which is really harsh, it is true, a bit, yeah, but not what is not going to help.
No, especially the special anniversary week.
But I am going to give Carla a break here and say that I think she thinks this is tough love and it's what Betsy needs to hear, because I think also she's given herself a bit of a benefit of the doubt here, or she's hoping that Betsy will, because she's been a champion of Betsy. She's supported her even though she was being blackmailed. But she gave her a job, she was letting her sit around in the office when she should have been working. She helped her mum buy festival tickets. She kind of feels like, have I not proven myself to you at this point that I'm on your side? Can't you see that this is for the best and you can't just grieve forever?
I think that
Betsy's too emotional and young to really want to hear it.
I think that we'll probably have at some point Carla doing some grand gesture to, I don't know, save Betsy's life or something.
What can she do?
Or is she going to save Lisa's life? And they're going to be happy families, aren't they? Maybe not by this Christmas, but Christmas 2025, Lisa, Carla and Betsy around the turkey. Watch this space.
I think this dynamic is very interesting because initially, when we were kind of seeing the beginnings of the Swarla relationship, it did seem like Betsy was telling her mum to get on with it, saying about spaghetti's straight till it's boiled or something like that.
Oh yeah, she did.
So she was kind of almost in a teasing, kind of saucy way, like going,
encouraging
I don't mind if you do that. So and she really liked Carla before, but now maybe reality is staring her in the face. She doesn't like it because she also, she points out like you can't replace my mum, so don't even try. And but I do think this dynamic could be very interesting, whether or not, I think it'd be more interesting if Betsy just doesn't forgive her mum for and Carla for years, and so you end up with this situation where they are trying to play happy families and they're all living in Carla's flat, and Betsy's just like the snake in the grass who's constantly undermining Carla, because Carla works really well as a character when she has an adversary. And a lot of the time that adversary is the accounts at the factory. Oh, you know what I mean?
Betsy could be a good...
It'd be really fun to have like a snake in the grass. Or and you could also... Because Carla's very brisk and blunt. And she's not there to make friends. And I can see her not really putting herself out to try to make friends with Betsy after a certain amount of time. And so that could be really good. The mischief that Betsy could make here could be quite interesting.
Do you think that Carla is going to be pursuing Swain, or is she going to leave her to cool off for a little bit?
I think both of them have had their feelings hurt here by this conversation because, like I said, Carla thinks she's very practical and she's been realistic. And she's been grieved. I think she's probably thinking, Lisa, this is your... this ain't my first rodeo, love. You're going to cry your whole life about one dead wife. I've got so many dead husbands and people tried to kill me. I'm not crying. Okay, I had a breakdown. Okay, I was alcoholic. Okay, I had a gambling problem. Okay, I ran away to LA several times. But you know what? I'm over it. I need to get over it too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I think she's going to be trying to get her back. You know, once you've had Swain, you want her again. That's what they say.
I don't know what Lisa's going to do though, because really, I would be really hurt if I was her.
She absolutely was giddy at the thought of going to bed with Carla today.
I know, but and then it all went wrong. So sad, in such a sad, emotional way.
And she's been building herself up for this for a while as well, hasn't she? She's kind of wanted it, and it's now kind of ended up blown in her face. So I think she's just gonna stay back and lick her wounds for a bit, and then let her in by the end of the year or something.
Maybe we'll have a Christmas kiss, a reconciliation kiss.
Maybe we will,
because everyone was thinking this would be when it would finally happen for the first time at Christmas.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, let's get a little early.
That was like treat. I guess that was the Thanksgiving for Swarla, and then we'll have to wait for Christmas Day for our real presents.
Right, the Warner Brothers, Gemma. Matty and Logan.
I'm warning you.
I didn't find this story too interesting this week, I have to say.
I'm only going to say this once, okay? So what are their names?
Matty and Logan.
I don't find them very scary.
They're not, are they?
I feel
they're really not.
A bit
I think Logan a little bit more.
But I feel like
you said that Matty was a bit.
No, I think of Matty. I think I'd take him home and we would drink tea from saucers. You know, cups
yeah,
and saucers.
We've already established that we don't do that in this house.
But I think
Matty,
me and Matty, I think
Matty would bring the saucers.
Matty seems like a kind of guy who'd eat biscuits on a side plate.
I think that
he looks too posh to be a ruffian.
Yeah, he looks a little bit.
And I can't really explain why I think that, but I think that
it's been odd that he's kind of been the main brother.
He's like
because Logan was the one who was introduced to us first.
Logan's like the muscles, and he's like you know how there's always like this.
Matty's the hair.
This stereotypical duo of like the goon and the villain, the brainy villain.
Yeah.
It's like Matty's the brains and Logan's the brawn.
Yeah, but neither of them are particularly brainy or brawny.
Very, very vindictive, it seems like.
So,
but like I said, I'm not going to criticise them all the way through.
I quite enjoyed the scene at the beginning of the week where Betsy's at the factory with Sally and ripping on her very, very 2020 hot tub, and there was
she did not like that.
Yeah, but Sally was saying that she was ahead of the times, and Betsy says, "Well, you're behind them now." Tim comes in and tells Sally that Mason's brothers have been released due to lack of evidence about this car stealing that they were doing the other week, and Betsy sends this surreptitious text to Mason about it to meet up in the precinct later, which is definitely their favourite place. That is, you know. We say how many of Lauren's scenes have got her crying in it. How many of Betsy and Mason's scenes are in the precinct? A good 50%.
If you want a formula for how to make a Betsy and Mason scene, number one, Mason has to be walking somewhere, eating a pastry from a white paper bag. He also has to have his rucksack over one shoulder, and he has to have just been beaten up by his brothers. She has to be completely oblivious to the fact this poor kid is homeless and can't just go off to the cinema with her or go on a date with her or go and buy a milkshake, and trying to seduce him into bed again.
Yeah, and all the while swinging morosely on the swings.
Oh yeah, because they're angsty.
Yeah. Anyway, they meet up, and he's like, "Well, I'm
toast.
I'm toast now. Exactly.
I've been warned."
I've been warned that Matty and Logan are on the prowl, and speak their name and they shall appear. Matty drives up in his lovely yellow car.
Toot toot. Look at this. Check this out.
I was quite proud of my tweet that I did when I took a picture of him and said, "Massive Corrie spoiler alert."
That was.
I made a
hilarious.
car joke.
That's a part
and
of
a few
the car.
people appreciated it. That was a very manly thing for me
manly.
to do. So Matty bounds out and starts roughing Mason up and kind of chucking him about the place. But luckily, Tim then runs up to the rescue because he's been warned by Eileen, I think, had he? Saying...
No, that was later, wasn't it? Yes, it was later. He's just there. He just happens to be there. He's like, I dobbed you in, not them. Beat me up if you're going to beat anyone up.
Yeah, Matty kind of slopes off after that, and Mason reckons, well, Tim, you've earned yourself a massive bullseye on your head, your big bald head. back at home later.
He's not worried because he lives with Sally.
Well, he's not worried at all, really. Sally's a bit worried back at home, isn't she? But Tim's like, nah, it's fine.
It's like, nobody can hurt me.
Have you seen them? They're not actually that scary a villain.
Nobody can hurt me more than Sally. She's really cutting.
Yeah.
When I drop muesli on the floor, she would let me forget it.
Well, they pay the price.
Yeah.
Sally does, at least, on Wednesday's episode when they wake up to find that her duck egg blue door has been graffitied with grass. The word grass, that is. It's not just had, bag of clippings.
It would have been so funny if Sally had said something like, Tim, do you think we can convince the neighbours that we're just very environmentally friendly and it's to do with my environmental stance when I was mayor?
I think it's actually just a message from people that are making fun of the fact that she's got AstroTurf on her front lawn.
Yeah.
It's like, you think you're so posh, Sally, but you don't even have proper grass down there.
Sign a petition to get rid of that.
Have you noticed that whenever anybody graffitis a word on a wall in Coronation Street, which does happen, and on a biannual...
It's almost like fancy dress party.
It's always red.
Is it?
It's always red. Like, I can imagine the Bistro's been graffitied in red. Actually, I can't remember anywhere else, but... It always. I think that they need to shake it up a little bit and give a nice little purple spray or a bit green, maybe.
Orange.
Yeah.
Do you know
Conversation Street orange.
Do you know who does that? The graffiti?
No.
Banksy.
Do they reckon?
They bring him in. They bring in Banksy, and then when they finish, they auction it off because it's actually art. That would be a great story. Imagine if they had it. If they. I might actually. Now I'm thinking. Have they not done this story where they have a Banksy? That would be funny.
What do you mean?
Like they think it's a Banksy, but it isn't.
I think that they did have that when it turned out to be Craig's work of art. Didn't
they should do it again because I forgot all about it.
Anyway,
that's the kind
Sally
of story
says that
we
Mason's
want.
brothers.
That's what we want. We don't want another whodunit. We want 3 stories about Banksy's
who
graffiti.
done the art. So anyway, they've received a warning from the Warner Brothers.
Oh, no.
And Sally finds Tim cleaning the door later, and he's like, look, I've called the police. They're probably not going to do anything, but they've said they'll have a word with Matty
They've got
anyway.
murders to
So
solve.
they've got bigger fish to fry here, to be honest. Mason's still worried again because he sees Logan getting
Do you know? Sorry. I think I heard the other day, I think I read this, that apparently at any one time a police officer has 10 to 12 open cases.
Really?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known.
Maybe they should close them and they wouldn't lose so much paperwork.
Oh, wow.
No, that's true.
Very funny. So Logan gets into Tim's cab later because Tim doesn't know who he is.
No.
And
Tim's stupid.
So Mason rushes over to streetcars and Eileen comes up. Yeah, this is where Eileen gets told, watch out, Tim's in danger. So she calls him on the radio. There's a bad line. It's always...
Yeah, I know.
Well, back in the day, there were so many people on the radio in streetcars.
Nobody ever uses... how many times have you been in the last 10 years in a cab that had a radio?
Well, we just go Uber these days,
Michael, I don't have a car. I go in the taxis more than you do. Okay. They have their phone and it tells them what to do. They don't talk to anybody on the phone.
Tim and Steve like to do it old school. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think Tim could work a computer.
That's true. Anyway, Tim and Logan get to the precinct. It's a bit overused, that set.
How many times have people been menaced in a car in the precinct now?
Quite a few. I bet they still haven't put CCTV up there, have they?
Tim's been menaced in the car in the precinct.
No.
In the last 12 months.
No. Anyway, Matty arrives. Tim's looking nervous.
Oh, no.
And then Mason comes over and said, no, don't beat up Tim. It were me who masked you up,
so
not
this
him.
This is exactly the opposite of what happened on Monday. So on Monday... The Warner Brothers are beating up Mason because Tim grassed him up, and then on Wednesday they're beating up Tim because Mason grassed him up.
Yeah, they're just spoiling for a rumble.
But it doesn't make any sense
logically
logically thinking, because if both Tim and Mason don't care about getting beaten up, then what's really the big threat that they can hold over them? Just beat me up then. Just beat me up and get over it. I grassed you in. I grassed you up. I'll grass you up again in a minute after you finish beating me up.
Yeah, maybe you'll get the picture this time.
Maybe you'll stop your life of crime.
Anyway, fortunately for Tim, Craigie comes in. He just happens to be...
What's going on here?
Craigie was the one who'd been told by Eileen about it, wasn't he? So he comes and saves the day, and now clearly terrified of Tinks.
Why don't they get in trouble for this?
He's probably a bit scared of them as well, isn't he? They're all just chickens. Anyway, they go back home later. Mason tells Tim, look, you need to be more worried about this. My brothers are really bad lads,
No, by all evidence, they're not though, are they?
They don't just warn. So Betsy and Mason are sitting by the brewery later around the back of the factory, and he's saying, look, I need to sit this one out. My brothers are just going to get bored. They'll forget about it eventually. It's cool. By the way, is that Paul's ghost there?
Did you just see someone twerking?
So I think I just
by the moonlight
spirit, yeah. He says to Betsy, "You need to think about yourself. Forget about me." There's a little bit of push and pull and will they, won't they with Mason and Betsy this week. I don't mind them as a couple.
I kind of feel like I want to be ideologically opposed to this because again, it's the same problem I've said before about Lauren. Who are these people? But I can't help but kind of not mind it. I think I like Mason, and I don't know if does that make me a bad person because he is awful.
Yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job of redeeming him, but the question that we've raised already is should they be redeeming this character?
I'm not going to litigate it every week.
No, Tim's in the pub with Sally later saying basically
Mason's
what's gone on today. Mason's not so bad, really.
Mason should be cleaning their front door.
Yeah. Friday comes round and we got more Betsy and Mason in the precinct, and he's like, look, we still can't go out yet. Maybe if I find myself a job, find myself a place to live, we can.
Matty and Logan watch them. Yeah, and they're laughing at them.
It's basically a little setup for Matty and Logan harassing Betsy and Villain's Alley later on because they've seen her hanging around with their little bro. And they say, look, we need you to remind Mason where his loyalties lie. He's a Radcliffe.
Yeah, they've cornered her
and Radcliffes don't grass on Radcliffes.
Cornered her in the ginnel, and so she texts her mum a coded message.
Oh yeah, saying I'm going to go to the cinema with my dad. And Swain realises that Betsy must be in trouble.
Do you know why that's a coded message? Do you know why that's a coded message?
What do you mean? Because her dad's not really alive? Or
no,
hasn't
dad's
got one?
Blind.
Swain's like,
really.
Betsy doesn't like Wicked, and that's why
Betsy would never go see Wicked. She
says
says she doesn't like musicals. She says she thinks it's stupid when they tell the plot in song.
They go to the precinct because where else would they be? But they're not there at the moment. Mason is though. Meanwhile, Betsy's still being threatened in the alley. She sees, oh yeah, Ryan comes along and he gets called Deadpool.
That was so mean.
That was cruel but hilarious.
It was funny.
It was funny. Are we wrong? Are we bad to laugh at that? But I thought Ryan was great in this because he didn't care. He's heard it all before.
I'll tell you what, if someone called me Deadpool, I think it was great.
I know.
Deadpool's brilliant.
Cool.
Yeah.
But would you rather be called Wolverine? I think
either I'd be fine with.
Yeah.
I think I'd be confused because neither of them really reference me in any way.
Yeah. I really liked that Ryan jumped in there and saved them, especially with all his body confidence issues that he was having a year ago, and now he's just like, whatever. I've come to save the day here. Good on you, Ryan. Yeah.
Hero.
Proper decent bloke.
Well, that's what got him in acid in the first place. He should keep his nose out.
Yeah, if they were to throw it on his other side of his face, it's like, I haven't learned a lesson. Never protect women.
Women can fight their own battles. That's what feminism gave us.
So he's...
This is going off the rails.
It doesn't matter. In the pub later, Swain is questioning Betsy about what happened, and she says, well, I didn't have any idea who these guys were, actually. And Ryan says, I think I recognise one of them from the STC, which is the school, the prison school, and that Daniel taught at. I don't
Daniel
know.
Doesn't deign to go to work anymore.
He doesn't really, does he? You know, when he fancies it, he might bob in there to earn himself a couple of quid.
Or when he has to be somewhere else, suddenly, magically, he can't get out of a shift.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's how they do it there. They have shifts.
I don't know how Daniel's going to particularly help at the moment unless they just really, really describe Matty to them in
he looks
in great
like
detail.
He drinks tea from a cup and saucer.
Oh yes, there was
one
like
that. What, Matty Radcliffe? Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that the Radcliffes are loitering around the street quite a lot, so maybe Daniel will just happen to be there one time when next time that they're there outside the Rovers. I don't know. But Mason goes to find Betsy in the cafe later. He's brought her a little mifi that he's made at college, and I didn't really get Roy's pronunciation of that, and I think that it was shocking.
What did he say?
Well, he said something like, I can't remember.
I call it a mealy-feely because I don't know what it's called.
Generally, we call it a mealy-feely, but we know.
How do you say it properly?
Me-fee.
No, that me-fee sounds wrong.
I didn't say me-fee, I said me-fee.
Me-fee. It's like saying Paris.
They look quite nice, actually, and Betsy thinks it's lovely, and even Roy takes a bit to try later on. My question here is, I don't think he's going to get a job at Speed Dial again. Do you think he's going to end up working at the Bistro? Because that's the only two places you can be a chef on this show. Yeah, well, do you think that Roy's is beneath him? Because you're not actually cooking stuff there.
I don't think that Roy sells enough patisserie to justify hiring a pastry chef.
He could get a job at the Bistro, but I don't think that Gary and Maria would be particularly fans of that.
I don't think anyone cares about what they think about anything, unfortunately. But I wonder how long... Because I wonder how long Speed Dial is going to stay there. Like, now Yasmin's on her own. Oh, she's not getting any younger. I wonder if she's going to retire at some point. Maybe Mason could buy the restaurant.
God,
I'm just thinking,
I don't like the idea of that.
I just don't know why are they making Mason into a chef when there aren't many options. They're doing it for a reason, aren't they? They've got some kind of plan.
It's like when they made Zidane a chef out of nowhere, didn't they? It's like, we need another chef. Let's just grab a character who's not really doing anything.
I know what it is then. He's going to buy a street food van so that Carla and Lisa can shag in the back of it.
Yeah, probably. That'll come full circle again. Okay, so Betsy meets the Warner Brothers near the Ginnell again later. No, I've not been able to get Mason to come, which is what they wanted, so they could tell him, you watch what you're doing. But she says, look, I've got something... Even better than that, the factory lot, Underworld, the factory on Coronation Street, they're going on a team building activity next episode. And I know, as if Carla would organise that. And the factory's going to be open, or I can open it up for you. You can nick all their gear. And they're like, sounds good.
Carla's the sort of boss
can live another day.
Who I think would find herself to be a benevolent god if she bought everyone biscuits, let alone sending them on a team building exercise when all they ever do is team building when they're supposed to be working.
I know, they don't need a team building exercise.
Sean, have you met Sally before?
Yes, we've been working together for 20 years.
I know you don't know Dirk because he can't speak, but that team building is not going to help, is it?
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the idea is to bring the non-speaking extras out of themselves a little bit and give them a voice.
Yeah, maybe. But we won't see it though, will we?
No. So,
maybe they're hoping to shoot
if you're enjoying Matty and Logan doing a bit of medicine, then I'm sure that Monday we'll get some lovely scenes of them getting into the factory and pinching some stuff.
Pants.
Yeah. No, she said it was laptops and whatever.
Oh, okay. I mean, teenage boys probably would like to steal all the bras and the negligees and things, but then once you looked at them a bit,
they're above that.
What are you going to do with them? I don't want to know, actually.
Right. Did you enjoy this story, or did it just kind of happen and pass you by? Because that's kind of where I was a bit.
I can't resist this as much as I want to, because you've got to go with the flow now. You got to be interested in Betsy and Mason, otherwise you're not watching Corrie, are you?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know why.
I feel like they're in it for the long haul, so just give into it, really.
It does feel frustrating, and there must be a reason, and I don't know what that reason is, because Coronation Street knows that we don't want to see, with the best in the world, we don't want to see this many new characters. There must be a reason. We want to see what's going on with Gail. We want to see what's happening, with all the other... There are loads of people that haven't been in it for months and months, He might not be your favourite character, but, what's happened to... I can't remember his name.
Kevin.
Yeah, what's happened to Kevin? What's happened to Brian? That's what I was going to say. Where's Mary gone?
Good. Don't ask. Don't summon her, please.
But you know what I mean? There are so many characters that are just kind of sitting in their coffins waiting to kind of... be summoned by the creatures of the night or something. What's Dev up to at the moment? Where's Bernie? Is Gemma still sad? Don't know.
Don't you mean, come on, they have had quite a lot to do recently. It was only a couple of weeks ago since we had the space launch, Gemma.
But there's a massive cast of people, and now we've got Betsy, Mason, Timmy and Tommy, the Warner Brothers, and you've got Lauren and Frank. I mean, the new characters are having new characters.
they're spawning new characters, aren't they?
She's not even the only one, because Dee-Dee's up the duff-duff.
Speaking of which, yeah, Dee-Dee BB.
She's reproducing with a new character's baby. And she's pretty new herself.
What did you think of the first scene of the week, which was Dee-Dee's Joel dream, the scan dream?
Okay, I was thinking to myself, I don't know, I think this is... No.
They had me for a bit. Obviously not once Joel appeared, but I did wonder whether... Because the last thing we'd seen from Dee-Dee, I think, had been her caressing this pregnancy kit. And I was wondering... And I kind of thought, oh, okay, she's gone for a scan. They're just throwing us into the deep end there. But no, it was just a dream. Well, a nightmare.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. Did they say it was a girl?
I don't remember, actually.
Well, you know, she's having the scan and she sees the baby and then she hears the word gel, but she thinks they say Joel.
Yeah, the nurse is like, here comes the gel. Or
and
the Joel.
Like, oh no, it's Joel.
And he's there. Another posthumous appearance. We thought that we'd seen the last of him, but surely that's the last
But this is the first time he's appeared as a ghost. Because the other times was a flashback. All right, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. As is the grand tradition for Corrie villains now.
They've got to be really careful
his
with
victims
this.
from beyond the grave.
I don't really mind it, but I know that this is something that grates on people. And I think coming so soon after what happened with Paul, I know it was a dream. It just feels overused. Since I think Jeff should have been the last big name, you know, to come back in a regular way. That worked. That worked really well. But the more you do it, the more it's not going to work. It's just going to be, here we go, it's another dream. So anyway, she wakes up and Michael and Gloria come in and she hides this pregnancy test, but it's not long before Glory digs it out of the bin when they're playing.
We have a new actress for Glory, don't we?
We do.
This is the fact, because I'd been, again, looking at the top 100 appearance page recently, and I'd clocked the fact that Glory had made no appearances in 2024 so far. And yeah, this is the first one. She's played by a new actress called Maya M. So she's very swish because she's just got one letter as her surname.
It's a new
She's 4. Glory, I think, is 3.5, so she's slightly older.
So
but she was very cute.
She's
and this
got
Dragons and Fairies game, or whatever it is that she and Dee-Dee were playing together, was very cute.
She's running around, and then she finds the pregnancy test, and Sarah's there at the time, and she kind of like, ooh, Dee-Dee's squirming. She tells Sarah that she hasn't quite worked out the courage to take it, and she explains herself, because we'd all known that she had said she wanted to save herself for marriage. But she says, after she saw Paul, he was very bad.
Paul was looking particularly rough one day, and I just wanted to shag the memory away.
Yeah, well, she said she feels terrible about it. She also does clarify that she's not a virgin, because when she was in Chicago and she became religious, because, you know, America is...
Did she clarify that?
I think she says something like when she reaffirmed her faith, or she kind of like...
Oh, I missed that.
I'm pretty sure she said this. Maybe people can correct me if I'm wrong. But she talks about becoming more religious in America and sort of deciding to begin anew.
Oh, okay.
So it wasn't as big of a deal as we were thinking it was, really.
It wasn't her first time.
No, so she's like, yeah, whatever. Well, he's stolen everything from me. And the worst thing is I let him. And so I was like, you're not the only one who's been shagging a bad boy. I actually really like it. I get pregnant by him all the time. So she's going to
be like, she's probably going to have her eye on old Matty and Logan before long, isn't she?
Matty. Would you like a biscuit?
Maybe both of them.
Side plate. I'll put it on there for you. Right, so anyway, she goes and takes her test. She comes back, she says, it's negative. And she looks very shifty. Sarah doesn't pick up on it.
That was very much a, it's positive,
yeah,
isn't it?
She's lying. So she goes to see a client in the bistro who is very worried about her dangerous husband who's got custody of her kids. And Dee-Dee's like, I'm going to try my best to get them back for you. She's like, I don't want your best. I want my kids. And Dee-Dee gets really panicked by this and leaves her. And she goes into the street and Sally and Sean find her. She's having a panic attack. And she goes off on one, goes off at them, and Kit comes along. She's like, you can get lost as well.
Although she does calm down quite quickly and end up moseying down the street and sitting on a car bonnet with him, doesn't she?
Don't sit on people's cars. So she's like, look, I wish you'd found Joel on Noble Street that night. You would have stopped whatever happened. You would have stopped me too. I wish it all hadn't happened. And he's like, look, shut up about it. There's nothing we could do. There's no ifs or buts. So Dee-Dee goes and sees Sarah and says, look, I was telling a bit of a fib. It is positive, and I'm carrying a pervert's baby. He's a pervert for justice.
Yeah.
So she opens up. So Sarah's like, look, okay, this might not help you out, but I had a wrong-ins baby and I was sectioned. This doesn't help, does it? She's like, I had psychosis. I thought my
Harry
baby
was
was
the
the devil. But I'm fine now.
He's just a lovely little boy.
I think he's great. I look at him, and although I mistakenly called him Harry Platt, I love him all the same. And I don't see Callum anymore. He's just my baby, a lovely little boy. And but if you do want to have an abortion, no one will judge you. Which is about how supportive and nice. Thank you very much. So Dee-Dee then goes to see Billy. And Billy, again, is like... I love how Billy's like, I will never change my stance. Because I remember when Summer was considering a termination and Billy was like, I can't support you doing that. I just can't. It goes against my religion. So when Dee-Dee's asking him about what she should do, he says... you'll be a wonderful mother and the child did nothing wrong.
I appreciated that they actually had a little pray together at the beginning of the scene.
Yes, they began with a prayer. And also, I like the way Dee-Dee was sitting with her palms facing up and her eyes closed.
Yeah. That was a little
a proper
detail.
Yeah, it felt very authentic.
They didn't need to put in. But
yeah.
It's like these two characters would hopefully do this together, yeah.
Yeah, you'd think they would. Dee-Dee doesn't know what to do,
Dee-Dee
really.
doesn't know what to do.
And Billy's like, he's not... The thing is about Billy is that I know that if you are pro-choice, you are gonna not find his opinions welcome. And I totally get that. And I am myself pro-choice. But Billy is saying, like, I'm not going to judge you. I just can't go, this is my recommendation. I'm just going to tell you what I think. And he says, whatever happens, your friends will stand by you. And I think he's including himself there.
Yeah.
Like, I can't kind of, like, give you a big thumbs up because I believe what I believe. But you will have support in whatever choice you make.
Very
Which I guess is
affirming.
it's being pro-choice, isn't it? It's being pro-choice. Like, you can be pro-life for yourself, but pro-choice is what you should be for other people.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all the Baileys meet up in the pub later, and Ed's like, "Oh, I'm selling the yard," which is interesting because who's buying it?
He didn't say.
We don't know yet. I don't know if it's going to be a new character or an old character. Do you have any ideas?
No. I mean, I'm just assuming it's a no one. Although
it'll fall through. Or
maybe, or it'll be a bit like a Trim Up North situation where somebody owns it but don't really know who.
And then they just close it and never speak of it again.
I mean, they'll more often than not there will be someone who's a character on the street that owns the yard. But if
he hasn't used it since he burned it up and fell down the stairs that he magically built himself.
It's not a particularly fun sort of set, is it? I mean, there's always been a builders of some sort on Coronation Street, but I don't think anyone's clamouring for there to be more builders' yard
It doesn't
scenes.
feel like there's enough characters to populate it now because they're all all the
not
lackeys.
Enough characters in Coronation Street. You
Well,
say?
all the lackeys are dead, aren't they? And all the bosses are like giving up on it, like Gary, Ed. I mean, what could happen is somebody buys it and then employs some of these ne'er-do-wells.
Yeah, maybe.
Like Timmy, Tommy, and Mason. But anyway, we don't hear any more about that. But
no, we just hear a bit more about...
It's going to cover his gambling debts.
Yeah, hooray.
And then this is when Ronnie says, I tried to get Joel beaten up by my mate. It was just for one scene though, and I didn't do it. Didn't follow up. So Dee-Dee's finding very uncomfortable, and she also doesn't make a big show of it, but when they have a toast, she doesn't drink, which what I assume is rum, because that's Ronnie's favourite drink. And so... they're like, Joel can't hurt us anymore. And they don't ask her why she's not drinking, which I thought was quite interesting. Because normally, if you're a woman of a certain age and you don't drink alcohol when everyone else is, you get questioned.
Men might get asked that as well.
No, they don't.
Well,
Women are like, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? No, I've just got an infection and I've got special pills. So I can't drink at the same time, otherwise I'll die. All right? Anyway, on Wednesday... Sarah is back with Dee-Dee again, and she's like, I haven't told anybody, I don't know what to do. And then we get a
little cricket scene.
No, it's not a cricket scene. It's a heartwarming family moment that might induce Dee-Dee to reconsider.
This is a bit like, do you remember when Michelle got a football in the stomach?
Yeah, that's right.
In exactly the same area. They need to put some warning signs up there, or at least a
Just
no ball games.
So yeah, they're having.
Thing is, most people don't play ball games there unless they're accidentally getting pregnant women in there.
If only Joel had thought of that earlier.
Yeah. Just hang around outside the factory, Lauren.
Footballs into people. Right, so Michael, Ed and Gloria are playing cricket, and then Dee-Dee's kind of like, oh, maybe, I think she's thinking, but they, there's no reason. I'm just putting my own impression on this, like, oh, isn't it lovely? He's got a daughter, he doesn't have a partner, but it's still fine. And just as she's thinking that, like you said, she gets a cricket ball to the bat. No, that would have been fine. To the stomach. And Sarah's there going, oh my God, you need to go to the emergency, you have to go to the hospital. And they're like, why is she overreacting like this?
Yeah,
and Dee-Dee's like, shut up, it's fine, don't say anything. So she still won't tell her family, but she is going to go to see the midwife to make sure everything's okay. And then when she has dinner later with Ed and Michael in the bistro, Ed's like, Michael, I think something's up with her. Can you keep an eye on her, please?
Yes. And then it didn't really go any further than that, did it? That was all. What do you think? Is she gonna go through? She's gonna keep that baby. She's gonna keep that baby.
Well, I mean, we haven't done this for probably 10 years now. I don't know how long. The last time we did it, we talked about pregnancies in Coronation Street, and we did
10 years.
We did a little chart, and we worked out like what are the chances if you're a pregnant character in Coronation Street, what are the chances of you actually having the baby? And it was 50-50, literally 50-50. I don't think much has changed.
I don't think so.
I don't
think we need 2 children for Joel on the street though, do we?
No, I think that would be quite interesting because number one, I don't know what Frankie's staying power is. I think it would be quite sweet if Dee-Dee had a girl.
Probably tied to Lauren's.
Yeah, because then Joel would have a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
But also, I think that who knows if Coronation Street will be around in 20 years' time. But I always think of like the future of the show, like how is Lauren going to raise the baby versus how is Dee-Dee? If Lauren leaves the show, takes Frankie with her, and then in 20 years' time, Dee-Dee's still on the show, raising her lovely daughter to be a very well-mannered, prays before, says grace before she eats,
taking her to Sunday school.
And then, up rocks Frankie in a sports car, smoking a cigarette, drinking beer. It could be very interesting, and then she'd be like, why did I get you this, mum, and you got that much,
Yeah, I guess so.
Isn't it? I don't know. I mean, that's the future.
I'm not inspired, but I just don't need Dee-Dee to be pregnant, but whatever, we'll see.
I just think it does derail a character's life for about 3. I mean, look at Abby. We said when she got pregnant with Imran's child that was going to be a bit of a hard thing to come back from, and she's still
has been, yeah.
not
been
really
doing much.
And it's one thing to say it's because the character had a big storyline, and so they're giving the actress a break, and who knows what's going on in personal lives. I don't know. But more often than not, a woman who has a baby on Coronation Street just disappears into a boring hole of having to explain where the baby is.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so next up we've got the Poison Ken letter storyline. There we go. I couldn't believe Cassie this week, honestly. Like, both Cassie and David, you have disappointed me this week with your underhand dealings.
I'm kind of like it. So this is Kate Brooks's, beginning of her tenure in Coronation Street.
Yeah.
And it seems like her thing, if I'm going to judge it just on like a week, is like, let's make everyone a bit more ambiguous, because one of my big criticisms of Coronation Street in recent years is that they're all goodies. And when they do something bad, it's because they've made a mistake, or they agonise over it, or they do it despite themselves, and then they feel bad. And then, whereas this lot of characters like Cassie and Mason and Betsy and Timmy and Tommy and Kit, they're all like, yeah, whatever. I'm not a goodie. I'm just a person, and I'll do something good and then I'll do something bad. Do you not think so? Do you not think, no matter what you think about whether Cassie should have done whatever, do you not think it's more interesting to have a character like Cassie than it is to have someone like Claire Peacock? Oh, I didn't mean to. Oh, I'm nice. I'm going to drive
I just wish that I could... I wish that she had a sounding board or someone to explain what she was doing.
I think it's intriguing.
I really want to like her, and she's clearly very charming. And she's even like, She's done herself up a lot more because, in her opening year, most of it on the street, she was very skankified, wasn't she, by the makeup department.
Well, she was on drugs.
She's kind of just like Claire Sweeney swanning around now, but she's living well on those Ken wages, I suppose. So she's back from her holidays with him later, and Ken's sharing his photos. And
I was just going to say, like with Cassie, like with Kit, they're both quite charismatic, but they're also a bit evil.
Little bit. Ken announces that he's reevaluating his finances and he's not able to keep Cassie on anymore. He's going to tell her at the bistro later where he arranges a lovely meal for her. So she doesn't take long to realise that she's being given the heave-ho and puts on a brave face with it. And she's kind of inquiring about Steve because she's still clearly holding a torch for him somewhat. And Ken says, well, they all support me, so she's a bit down about that whole thing. So she doesn't take long, though, because she asks Ken to help her with her CV later, and the big twist at the end of the episode is she's starting to crush up his pills that he's supposed to be taking, giving him extra, swelled about in his tea. So we have got a poisoning storyline going on here, where...
warfarin she gives him.
It's one of these,
Holly shouldn't do that.
No, Claire Sweeney was on, I don't know which programme it was this morning, Loose Women or This Morning.
Have I got Loose Women for you?
And she talks about the fact that, when Kate Brooks told me that I was going to be in this storyline and I was going to be poisoning Ken, I couldn't believe it. And she talks about, isn't it great that I'm working with all these legends like Steve McDonald and Ken Barlow and Tracy? But she didn't really go into, why she... Well, she did. She talked about she's really, really enjoyed her time with Ken and she doesn't want it to end, and this is her way of doing it.
Isn't this like Munchausen's by proxy? Or
she did say there was a bit of Munchausen's with it. She did. But...
this is classic. Usually you do it with a child, don't you?
Mm. Yeah, she's making herself feel wanted. But... yeah. I don't know, she must realise that it's really, really risky what she's doing, which turns out to be true on Wednesday. Tracy comes back for a bit, and then...
It's Ken Barlow, Cassie.
I know. So...
he's worried. He's feeling under the weather, so he invites Cassie to come back and work for him, look after him for a little bit, and she's like, yeah, no worries, and she starts crushing pills up again. Yeah,
that's it.
And then we get a surprise visit from Tracy.
I said Tracy was back already, and she's narked that Cassie stopped Ken giving her money back, and so Steve and Adam tell Cassie she can bog off.
No, she's annoyed because Cassie's the reason that Amy's lost out.
With the
on the
whole
money.
institute
and we've
thing.
got next week is the big court case coming up where it's going to be decided what happens to Rowan, and that's going to affect whether Amy gets her money back. I think that's what we're kind of being led to. Yeah, exactly. I don't think that was what we thought before.
So Cassie's been slung out on her ear, so she takes the opportunity to drop the bombshell that she slept with Steve, and then Ken comes down and says, "Well, actually, everybody, I'm the one that decides whether Cassie is welcome here or not."
Yeah.
He's looking proper ill, isn't she? Isn't he? Sorry. So Cassie decides to she's like, "Oh, let me help you, Ken." And she comes back down later and says, "Well, Ken's just having a nap." Tracy says, "Well, look, we don't need you. Let's get a doctor in." And Cassie says, "No, Ken doesn't like that. He just doesn't want it." And Tracy says, "Well, whatever, you can go home." So Cassie kind of slopes off for a bit, and Tracy says, "Steve, we need to. I'm going to be staying a bit longer now."
Because Tommy's been sacked.
Tommy seems to have been sacked from this club, so that didn't last too long, did it?
And she's got nowhere to live.
Yeah, she's not fully admitting it, but it's clear that something's gone wrong here. Then this is when Toya comes round and has a rare scene at number 1. I can't remember the last time she would have had a scene in that set before, but she's just asking for Amy's bistro keys or something, and
it's really weird.
Yeah, it was an odd excuse, but it didn't matter because Tracy knocks over Ken's pill box and Toya's now a witness to it, is basically what we got with that.
Yeah, Tracy puts all the pills back in the box, puts it back on the table.
So Adam and Steve later on find Ken nursing a nosebleed, and they're like, "This is a bit weird. You don't get these. This has been going on for a while, has it? Let's get you to a hospital." Alakazam, they were here in the hospital next scene, and it turns out that he's got an excess of something or other in his system, which is what is in his... this medication that she's been crushing up.
Oh, hang on. So they know what it is.
Yeah. Well, they say on Friday that the reason that they were able to...
work it out.
work it out exactly is because they knew what to look for because he's on that medication.
Yeah.
And Ken just doesn't understand how this could have happened. And when Steve hears that it's been Cassie who's filling his pillbox, he naturally blames it straight away on her for doing it wrong. And Ken's like, no, honestly, it's fine. Tracy arrives, hears this theory about Cassie giving Ken the wrong medicine, and she goes right off on one, saying that she's a liability. She confronts her in the pub. No, Steve, does in the pub.
Yeah.
And says, look,
you nearly killed him.
You nearly killed Ken. Stay
He's the
away
main
from
one.
him from now on.
He's been in it since the beginning.
You're fired.
The only problem I had with this story was the way that everyone seemed to be completely overreacting about what they thought was a mistake.
Yeah, well, some of them had been looking for excuses to get rid of Cassie, hadn't they? Friday...
But Ken, how he lays into Tracy,
Friday, Toya happens to luckily be at the cafe and overhear a conversation about all this going on, and she goes and tells Steve, well, actually... I missed this on Wednesday, didn't I? I think I forgot to say that it happened. When Tracy comes in... the pillbox gets knocked over.
Yeah, you said that.
Did I say that? Oh my god, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm very tired now. I'm forgetting what I'm talking about.
You know, I think it was actually Tracy that put these pills in the wrong place because I saw her doing it.
Yeah, that's it. So Tracy ends up being accused of poisoning Ken accidentally when actually it is Cassie that's doing this.
On purpose.
And Ken's like proper mad.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time we saw Ken so fuming
as
this.
Vibrating.
But he really, really was. He was fantastic.
Yeah,
I love that. And he's like, how dare you blame Cassie for this? And Tracy, poor her, she's like saying, look, I'm really, really sorry if this is my fault. But Ken's like, I don't want to hear it, Tracy. You're ashamed. I'm ashamed of you. Out you go. So Cassie comes round later. She's been invited back again, and her plan has worked. Ken has become dependent on her. He's now, taken a downturning in his health, and so he needs a carer again. So she's like, "Yep, thank you very much." She even gets an apology from Steve as well later on, who says sorry for flying off the handle, and then. This is when Ken brings up the fact that the doctors were able to cure him quick enough because they knew what to look for in his system. And Cassie's like, oh, really?
Well,
she starts voggling antihistamines that could make him drowsy, which I guess won't be so easy to detect.
Yeah, she realises they worked out.
Yeah.
But what she hasn't realised is that if he gets sick again and they test him and it's not a medication he's supposed to be on, it's going to become obvious that somebody's poisoned him.
Yeah, I would have thought so, yeah.
But she's not thinking things through.
Well, I don't know. She seems like quite a schemer, but you're right. That is a bit of
she's
a hole,
cunning,
possibly.
But she's not clever.
Anyway, it's night time later, and she's encouraging Ken to drink up his Ovaltine, which we're maybe led to assume has got a little bit of concoction in it.
Antihistamines.
Yeah.
Do you like Ovaltine?
I haven't had any for about 30 years.
Oh, should we have some Ovaltine?
We could get some Ovaltine. It's the.
I think I bought it.
Tis the
for
season
something.
for Ovaltine.
I think I put it in your. Remember, I made you some special hot chocolate.
Did you?
It had warfarin and antihistamines in it. No, I made Michael some hot chocolate mix, and I'm pretty sure it had
a bit of
Ovaltine
in it. I really enjoyed this story. It felt like a light relief. I know that Ken Barlow, the Don of the street, got hospitalised, but compared to all the other high drama that's going on with Max and Lauren and Dee-Dee, this felt fairly sedate and at a gentle pace. And,
this felt like
most importantly,
not
characters that I care about.
Yes. And although I guess you can argue, like, you never thought that Cassie was going to kill Ken, did you? So there's no consequences here. But still, it's still interesting because, you've got Tracy's been kicked out of the family.
Yeah, I found whenever these scenes came on this week, I was like, oh, good.
Yeah, here we go. This is Coronation Street I'm watching now.
Yeah, but as I say, I would like to be able to understand Cassie a little bit more.
Her motivations.
Yeah, I mean,
the
motivation is to stay with Ken, but
it's just Munchausen's. I mean, it's
there must be a better way
disorder.
of doing it.
No, this makes sense to me.
Okay, fine.
I think what you're saying is how can she do this and still care about?
Yeah, because she clearly does care about him.
What I think people like Cassie do is compartmentalise things, and her friendship for Ken is not as important as her survival, and so she can kind of put those things in different boxes.
I just kind of feel really bad for her when she gets found out.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's like,
gonna be in
there's
so
no
much
defending
trouble.
her.
No,
or is it going to be a little bit like when Ken discovered that it was Daniel that pushed him down
That's
the
what I'm
stairs
wondering.
and he's like said, no,
Don't
do
do
mention
it
this
again.
I don't know. But yeah, this is great stuff. I'm very much enjoying this. Finally,
But,
we have,
you know,
go on.
you're just saying about, you know, it's all big characters, which is great. And I think I've mentioned this before, but like I'm pretty sure the Bill used to have a rule that every scene had to have a cop in it.
Yeah.
So every scene, like you would never just have. I think once or twice maybe they broke this rule for dramatic effect, but you'd never just have a bunch of criminals having a plot together. You'd always have a cop on the screen because it was about cops.
POV.
It was, you know, the Bill. That Coronation Street needs to instigate a rule of some similar thing.
Every
right?
scene has got to have a character that's been in the show at least 5
years.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Because, like I said before, if you're flicking through, I swear to God, there are going to be times when you don't know you're watching Coronation Street. Not that anyone does
you're
flick
a casual
through.
viewer.
Not that anyone does that. But if somebody walks into the room and they see what you're watching, they're not going to know it's Coronation Street. If you've got some of the people that have been having scenes together. Anyway, this is the final one. Final story of the week was Toya, Nick's Leanne's boyfriend. So on Friday, it's Ollie's anniversary next week. And
Olliversary.
she's very down. So Tracy comes in and she's having a go at her about not...
But just making sure she's going to testify in Rowan's trial.
Yeah, and I can't remember who is it that tells Leanne. Is it Tracy?
Yeah, Tracy says.
No, to mark the occasion and not stop wallowing.
Oh, I can't remember.
Who was it?
I
can't remember, but someone's like, maybe it was Shona. I think it was Shona. And she's like, you can't just mope. You got to do something. Like, if you're going to remember it, you might as well mark it and celebrate his life. So she thinks about it and she says, okay, that's probably a good idea. And so Toya and Nick are in the office and they still haven't revealed to anybody that they're having this affair. Cause
they've heard that Lisa and Carla have been snogging it up today. And
like,
they're like,
oh
yeah?
Well, you're not the only hot couple on the street who's trying to keep things under wraps.
Let's see who can get the most clicks on social media.
Sorry, guys, it's not you.
It's not Toya and Nick, is it? But
so
we'll tweet out Toya and Nick.
They nearly get caught snogging because Leanne walks in and they're like, oh nothing. What do you mean? And Leanne asks them if they can have a memorial service and go and see Oliver's tree. What is Oliver's tree?
I don't remember.
Okay,
Clearly
maybe
he had one planted.
Maybe
after
it's
he,
the tree in the middle
flunks.
of Chariot Square Hotel. So she's like, oh, please can you come and I need support. And obviously Toya's like, that's a great idea. I'm a counsellor. That you should do that. Then they have a scene, Toya and Nick, where she says, oh, I can't keep sneaking around like this, but we can't tell Leanne because she's really sad. And Nick says, we should wait until after the memorial, but we shouldn't wait too long.
Yeah, that was so code for something that's going to go down at the memorial, isn't it?
Let's make sure we definitely don't kiss each other at the memorial.
Yeah, what just get caught up in the throes of passion.
Under the tree.
Yeah. I mean, Sally and Tim, they used to be at it like rabbits after funerals, didn't they?
I thought it was weddings.
No, I think it was funerals.
I think it's any excuse to dress up for Sally. She likes wearing a hat, it gets her turned on.
So I'm going to say for this week's Corrie was just okay for me. I wasn't too engaged and excited on Wednesdays, I remember for sure. It was a nice surprise when Carla and Lisa got it on in today's episode as I wasn't expecting it. And the stuff with Max and Lauren was definitely, I had no idea what was going there, but there just wasn't a huge amount that really got me really interested this week. So I'm gonna give it 3 mugs of Ovaltine out of 5.
You could have picked that one, I don't mind.
You picked this one.
I had another one in my mind.
Oh, go on then. What are you picking it?
What, is that your final score?
Yes.
Michael's also written down half-naked policewomen wearing Carla's dressing gown, moisturising their legs.
Yeah. I didn't want to vote for that.
Use that score, you mean?
Yeah.
My score is 3.5 clean tops stolen out of Carla's knicker drawers.
Why half a top? Is that a crop top?
Yeah. It's for Betsy.
Character of the week this week.
Is it
Carla? Is it Lisa? Is it Lauren? It's not Lauren, I'll tell you that. Is it Max? I really again enjoyed Shona, but I think that she wasn't necessarily a main enough character to give Story a character of the week. I mean, Cassie to me was really quite intriguing.
I was going to say Cassie was really interesting.
She's really charismatic and charming, and Ken was fab as well.
Yeah, Ken was great. Yes, Ken. I'm going to give it to Ken.
Oh yeah.
Ken shouting. He had a great time in Porto, and now he's shouting. He's back on form. You've got to treasure him while he's here.
I really did enjoy...
Cassie could kill him by the end of the year.
I did enjoy Carla. I did enjoy Lisa, especially with the drunk acting on the...
Lisa's drunk acting. Okay, I've got to change it to Lisa because I love drunk acting on Coronation Street and she was great, I think. Also, a different sort of drunk acting, I think. A slightly different twist on it.
I think, well, then maybe I'll give it to Cassie then.
Okay.
Just, we want to get Claire Sweeney's hopes up and then dash them at the last minute by having a quick final last minute vote for Lisa. But I'm just really intrigued by her motives and I'm enjoying watching her, even if I don't
think you're intrigued by her motives. I think you're intrigued by where this is going to go and what's going to happen
definitely
to her.
That as well.
Because we already talked about what her motives are.
Yeah, but it's still the whole, she must know that this could go wrong and he's an old guy.
Okay, but you act like you've never done anything wrong in your life. And I know there are different levels of doing wrong things, but she's got very bad judgment, hasn't she? Because she has been in the throes of drug addiction.
Yeah.
And the idea that she thinks this is probably a bad idea, I shouldn't do it, that's sort of how you end up being on hard drugs, isn't it? You go,
guess so.
Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be fine, I'll be okay. Don't worry about it, it'll be alright. And that's where you go wrong, isn't it?
Well, there we go. There was this week's Coronation Street. Not brilliant, but solid. Standardly solid, I'll say, for this week. But I did have a lovely time chatting about it with you. So there we go.
I hope that was interesting.
I hope that was interesting as well.